This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everyone. There's a wildebeest calf. I'm so sorry. We've been following the hyenas and there's a tiny little calf looking at them. My goodness, what a morning is full of excitement. There's a calf. There's the hyenas. These hyenas have been up to no good this morning. What an excellent start to your live safari through the African bush. It's hunting. The hyenas are hunting. The calf is running. Oh my goodness, I cannot believe that. We're going to turn around. We never get to see hyenas hunt. Here you go, Johan. Work your magic. You don't need to put the camera on me. I am Lauren and I have Johan on camera. Hyenas are hunting. I don't know who they are. You'll need to help me with the IDs. It's all happening far too fast. Oh my goodness, we're going to follow Johan. Hyenas hunt by coursing, so they run, run, run. Hi everyone, it is what a start to the morning to your live safari. You must talk to us, send in your comments, questions, #wild chat stream. You can also go to wildearth.tv/explorers and send in your comments. Okay, Johan, do you see anything? Hyenas run so fast. You don't think they do, but they do. Okay, let's just try and see where they've gone. Your calf. Oh my goodness. What a start. Okay, Johan, you ready? Oh, wait, they're circling down. This is such a difficult start to the morning, everyone. We're going to follow. If you are sensitive, this may not be the moment for you. And this is exactly how hyenas hunt. Run, 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 run. Exhaust, panic, terrify their prey. You're holding on there, Johan. Can you see them? Okay, just give us a moment to relocate them. We should be able to hear them. Oh, my heart is racing. Okay, I'm just going to stop and turn off because that calf was very, very vocal. How can they just disappear like that? See, hyenas hunting are just like wild dogs. You can lose them just like that. Sky agreed. Okay, I'm going to move. We're going to try and see if I can sit up a little bit like this. Yes, Sky, hyenas are fast. People don't realize, and it's because we don't really see them hunt. We see them scavenge, and that's why they have a terrible reputation, because they're known to scavenge and steal, but actually they hunt. I can assure you they hunt. There's no way that the entire Juma clan can survive on just the scraps from leopards. No way. They hunt so much more often than we realize. Now, I think we're going to have to do a U-turn here and go back. We're on quarantine, an open area, and we've completely lost them. I knew those hyenas were up to no good. If any of you manage to ID them, please let me know through whatever platform you're using. Twitter, YouTube chat, website. Please let us know. Wow. We were following them. I knew they were up to no good. They were playing. They were sort of wrestling a little bit, and then, of course, they spotted that calf at the exact same time that we spotted it. And it seems to be a lone. I know there's a lone wildebeest calf being seen on the dam cam, and I wonder if that's the one. And it's such a shame, because last year the wildebeest, they held on to most of their calves, and this year there's been devastation. Okay, one last race to look for them. I'm a small person, so you know we have to stand up. And it's sad to say, if they do catch this calf, it'll be over very quickly. Very, very quickly. I have a funny feeling they're just down here somewhere. Yeah. Completely different from the cats hunting by coursing. Wild dogs do it, the Ethiopian wolf does it, hyenas, it's just run. There's no ambush, there's no stalk, there's no camouflage, there's no waiting for the precise moment to jump out and terrify your prey. It's just run. The prey sees you, but you run, run, run. You're hoping that the prey panics, falls, gets exhausted, and that's what you're waiting for. And hyenas have a very unusual sort of walk. They have that sloped back. They almost gallop, and it makes them look, well, rather inelegant and not athletic, so you don't assume that they can run as fast as they really can. Absolutely baffles me where they have gone. I think they've gone down and towards the drainage, so we're probably going to have to do a U-turn. Rexon's on it. Rexon's always on it. Okay, we're going to turn here. There we go. My earpiece just got caught. Bear with me. We're probably going to have to spend a few minutes looking for them. Rexon thinks they've gone this way, so we shall follow. Could possibly be all over by the time we get there. Completely vanished. The grass is so long as well. Okay, what a start to the morning. I'll do my best to try and locate these hyenas, but I am not sure if we will be lucky. So for now, we're going to send you across to Andrew to say good morning.
Good morning, everybody from Juma Private Game Reserve. Indeed, it is a great morning with beautiful cloud, and sitting here with these beautiful elephants in this wood. See them, they're doing their best of feeding since the temperatures allow them to able to get on, exercise their energy the whole entire morning. I think they'll be doing the same. So my name is Andrew on camera. I have Simon this morning. So we in the western side of quarantine, and then we just locate these elephants, still busy doing their own feeding. But there was tracks of lions in the middle of a quarantine there. I think must be the same pride from last night, that we left them near the dam. And then we're going to be focusing on following these tracks after these elephants, see how far the tracks has leading us into. And then it's going to be another vehicles also helping us out there. These elephants are not actually static. They've been running around here quite a lot. And they were not far from these hyena that Lauren got. So I think this makes sense now. They're not actually comfortable with sticking around here for long. And they're just going to move away from this area since they saw what happened there. Understanding that they're actually a big animal, but once they see it's not safe for them, they rather move off their site and then until they find comfortable place to rest for an entire day, or they will be moving around in and out of this place quite often. So it seems to be they are also disappearing from us, unless if I drive the other road there, see if we would able to find them again. So I'm going to do that, and hopefully we find them on the other side of that other road. So remember to talk to us this morning on Kids Question at worldearth.tv, also on hashtag worldearth at FC, as well as worldearth.tv/explorer. So this is how we're going to be interacting with you guys. Send through questions. For those that haven't yet been part of the show, you can go to that Explorer and then sign up, and you can have access to all that you want to know about this wilderness out here we're at right now. Still very much interesting weather for all animals. Weather like this allows all animals to able to move, which the temperature is great for also us as well. If you want to run around, it's the best time for that. You can run, sweat a little bit. The minute you stop, and this is where you would feel a little bit of a cold taking place. So it's great for animals to exercise their energy, get to move. And those are hunt, which is the most cats, hyenas, and the lion. I mean, always just need to get on and hunting very much and focus on that hunting. It's the daylight, so waste a lot of energy. But the weather's good, so I don't think there will be. Joe, morning. So you want to know how far elephants can run? Elephant can speed up to about 40 kilometers an hour. So that's the average speed of the elephant, where they don't really jump like you would expect from these other species, as well as a wildebeest and the zebras. So when you see them run, they're speeding up, but smooth like a motion walk, but they pick up speed to up to about 40 kilometers an hour in that movement. So we got them again, yeah. Lucky enough, we're back to that road again. Got like a shortcut. Looks like they're going to end up into Galago Pen area, in that direction where they're going right now, if they ever cross this road for us. So I'm going to move forward. So we got a little bit of a wood in front of us. So there seems to be very relaxed. They're not running around anymore, so probably going to enjoy them right now. So got them. This is one of the big female. Sorry everyone, there's a car that's driving past right now, but it's gonna be okay soon. Where here they're all a mix of these young bulls. Those are still under the age of probably 4 years young bulls, and 3 years young bull. Those that haven't yet separate from their mother. Beautiful. See how they all just make sure these young ones remain in the middle. So for safety, if it's any surprising them here happened, the adult will take care of that. And they're very much protectable elephant animals. They also making sure that wherever they are, it's got to be them only. And if there is anything around, then it makes them worry too much. They don't actually mix quite a lot with other animals. They don't like doing that. If you look at this female tuskers, female they also tusker like these, which is very skinny or thin. But she's got when you look at them, they're not actually equal in length. Gracie, you want to know why the other tusker length than the other one? So elephants, when they use these tuskers for feeding, helping their trunks, quite a lot of time that I just hear one of the trees been knocked off slightly. So they use the tusker to help the trunk when they feed. So you find depend. Some elephants they could be left or right-handed in terms of using these tuskers to able to help the trunk grab and break the bushes. So what you see in here, that the tusker that we see, it's shorter. I think that's the one that always she use it when she feed. And the other one will remain length or longer than the other one. Some they would prefer both. When you look at these tuskers, you find they're equally in length. But majority of them, they are the one-sided preference in terms of using. Look at them crossing the road. So when I seen here, all of these bigger ones are females. And then it's so amazing when every time you see elephants in herds, and it's always so special about them that remain in herds. It means they breed in herds, give birth. Only time you see males with them, big male, always visit. The presence of checking any status on females, any female that she's on heat. And then with none, you will eventually move off. Especially those bulls that they come with mast, which they really looking for a female to mate, any female that you might be ready in a nurturing herd like this. There's a young bull right in the back, following from the far end. Mike, morning. You want to know at what age the tusker grow on the young one? So immediately they approach anything from 9 to 10 months old, nearly a year, and then the tusker is already showing up. That you can see a little bit of a tusker growing smoothly up. This is when they start to grow tusker, so year or before a year. Just gonna reverse and trying to follow them. Yeah, like I said, they're gonna actually leading us into Galago Pen. So I'm sure they're heading in that now. So they're on that same route we thought they're gonna do. Unless they delay, because it's quite a lot of water for them to drink. They don't have to depend in all of these permanently water hole. They can go drink anywhere they feel like, since it's actually, we just received rain day before yesterday, so it's still great for them to drink as they go. We still got them there in front of us. Just gonna give them a distance. So she's feeding on one of the enopthorns. These are one of the trees that preferred by giraffe and kudus as well. So it's one of our acacias. And with elephants, even some of these trees that they have thorns, are rough or very strong thorns, they're able to feed on these trees. Once again, the trunk is so important. Elephants without a trunk, finding itself or himself to be able to feed, even a drink, because they use trunk, suck water, roughly about sometimes 12 liter. Bigger elephants in the thing from maybe 16 upwards, a liter at a time in the trunk can hold and pour in the mouth. But I've seen young one, those that haven't yet able to use a trunk yet, and they arrive into that water hole. All you see, they go down their knees, they reach water straight on their mouth. But once they're old enough, they weren't able to do that anymore. Lioness lover. Yes, elephants have they don't actually worry too much or getting killed by any of lions out here. But they they're so big animal that you would think they don't have a danger on them. Anything could actually worry them too much. It's a natural cause of disease as a human involved in them as well by shooting them. And then those are vulnerable as a young one, especially when they separate from the group. But once they big enough, or like these all they're gathering around here, and nothing danger can take place right now in terms of predators. But they always stay alert. What we've seen them there getting out of that hyena quarantine area, this is one of the warning or one of the behavior that they do, always making sure that wherever there is a presence of dangerous, they rather move away from that area, find themselves away from that area so they feel comfortable and chill again. I'm going to go slightly near them there. I know they're close now to Wild Earth Camp. They haven't yet to that pen yet, but we're going to keep on them there. I'm going to go close enough. Sure. Average number of elephants in a herd Anything from 11 up to 28, sometimes 40 in a group. But the only problem with them when they also group in such a number like that is that when they feed, if it's not much of grasses, plants, talking about winter sometimes, they find it very difficult for them to able to find a grazing. And they have to move so much because there's so many of them. Every time they're static, and they have to make sure they do a lot of feeding around immediately. They're so big animal. They can finish anything around quickly. Where this time of year, green grasses, trees all green, it's all okay with them. So it's a chance that you may see anything from 42, 40 or 38, 20 in that group. So that's average. You begin anything from 10, 11. That's form the herd, nestling herd. Same one. I'm gonna off-road here, see if we can find them there. So they moving into the bush, but I'm gonna find a gap here to see how they lead us into that pen again. So they have a lot of food around here since it's wet or green. Easy for them to dig the soil, which is soft. They don't have to play hard and then doing that, especially if it's just after the rain. Also, they don't have to flap their ears quite a lot, which when they do that, it's because of the temperatures during the day. When the temperature rise, hot take place, and they have to flap their ears quite a lot. Looks like I'm losing them there. I'm gonna go to the pen straight away. Sure, some of them, they might be there. Looks like they're moving now quite fast. Let me move out of here. So playing on this natural water hole, which they make themselves during every raining season. See them visit these mud wallows, extend them much bigger every year. So finally it comes a natural pen, but not only them doing that. Warthog, once it's the water stuck there, warthog can be involved in lying in there for cool off, as well as the rhinos. So elephants are clever. They can actually create their own water hole. Even though we know for sure Sabi-Saint is well known of water stations, so many, water hole, man-made, quite a lot of these water hole. But also quite a few of these natural pens that the elephants have made. So they're at the pen, which is very good. It's what I was hoping. Don't know how long they're gonna stay here. If they're not very thirsty. Maya, you wanna know why the other animal here, the tail so small? So usually the tails, the length of the tail, it's similar with the trunk with this animal. Shorter tail they got, it's always maybe something to do with the age. But they need these tails. So as they grow, also the tail grow. But again, when they need this tail to help the backside there in terms of all flies, since the trunk can't reach the backside, can only reach the top and sideway. That's why you see them sometimes they suck soil through trunks, spray over them. So what I've seen here, all the young, all mixed animals here. We got a bigger one, medium size. and the smallest. And that's why some of their tail looks shorter. And one of that young bull that is in here, only one that I can see right now, but he's already moved off to the left. Those are all cows, females. Wide-eyed. Indeed, yes. This is the brooding herd. So, brooding herd, what's normally called? Usually, some can call the nestling herd, but you're right. So this is our breeding herd of elephants. So, consists of females most, and presence of maybe few males in the area, but they're more likely that the males also spend time on their own, far from the breeding herd. And also they love that, this breeding herd, without the male. A lot of time males disturb the young ones sometimes, also get pushed or push those other cows that are not ready on heat yet. So they're pushing far. They actually didn't spend a lot of time in these pens here. I'm going to take another moment. We've got a road here to follow them. It looks like they're surrounding the Juma camp right now. They'll probably end up at the Gari Dam, I think, if they don't delay. But you find that the other herd has moved into this area before. That's why they are following. Maybe they're behind another member. They're very good on tracking on one another, which they can smell through where the other member have moved through. They're going to be heading in the direction of where we just saw the other elephant yesterday afternoon. And maybe this is where the other member have moved into. I know they won't be around still, or could be the same one, because yesterday I only had a visual of a few, and the rest of them, they were moving away from us. Maybe they done move a circle around. And they have a matriarch, which is the control here. So everywhere she wants them to go, she will lead them into that area. So we're going to take another moment here looking at them. But once they disappear in this area, they're probably going to be appearing at the Gari Dam from the northern side of that dam there. Defecation. That's what sometimes they eat quite a lot. So I'm going to try follow these elephants. Hopefully they come out to the dam there. While I'm doing that, I'm going to link you back to Lauren again.
We are almost at the den. Almost. I'm just checking it's okay to join. I think there's another vehicle there. Aubrey. It's rude just to appear, but I believe it's active. Aubrey, do you copy me? Now, we did a much wider...
If you copy me, you can join. Only 2 days on the Piscicaya. I'll come later.
Copy. Thank you, Rexon. We did a wider loop. Rexon went one way, no sign of those hyenas. And the wildebeest calf, well, probably did not make it, and it would be over very, very quickly. Now, why we did a wider loop was because Mr. Hukamuri and Shudulu were having romantic times yesterday, very romantic. And Hookadulus. Yes, I love that pair. Now, it was on Arathusa, which is west. We cannot traverse there. West of Juma, south of Simbambili. But I just wanted to check that western edge because you never know. They might have sort of gravitated east and came into our property. So they haven't, but I think it's worth checking. Mating leopards are very, very mobile. They move, they mate, they move, they mate, they move, they mate. It's exhausting. Okay, we're at the den, but I just want to approach very, very slowly. Let's see who's here. Hello, June. Hi, June. I'm just parking a little bit off to the side here. Can you work with this, Yuan? Okay, we only have... No, we have more cubbies coming in. Now, because June's out and she's sort of exposed, if her cub comes out, then we're going to get perfect views of it. Hello, everybody. Someone is asking, I didn't catch that name, do I think hyenas kill their prey quicker than leopards? Oh, it's a tricky one to answer, but yes, I do. Normally, when they hunt by coursing, they go for the underside, the belly. It's very, very soft skin. Hello? Yeah, sorry, Johan. The car just moved. That's my fault. We get in trouble when we hold on to the brake. The cameramen get very upset. But yes, they go for the belly, and normally it doesn't sound very pleasant, but they take a big bite out of the tummy, the soft skin, and they tear it apart, and normally they disembowel them. And as unpleasant as this sounds, it's over very, very quickly. And with 2 hyenas like that, who I think it was Indabelli and Swazi, brother and sister, which is very, very sweet. Pretty's offspring from the same litter. Because there was 2 of them and their size and the size of the calf, it really wouldn't take very long. It would be over quickly. They would probably disembowel and tear it in 2. So yes, I do think hyenas kill quickly in comparison to leopards when they're hunting. Leopards and lions, it can take a long time. They go for the chokehold, they go for the neck, suffocation. It's not pleasant. Come on, June, call your little cubby out. We saw it yesterday, it's not a surprise anymore. Judging by that tummy, I think someone feasted well last night. But after the den, I am going to head up to Buffelshoek, go back to that delightful hippo carcass. Nancy, no, not at all, not at all. Seen many hyena hunts, especially up in the Masai Mara. They're said to hunt more up in the Masai Mara, according to statistics. But I don't know if that is just from limited information available, limited data. It's very hard to follow hyenas here. I was on quarantine this morning, and you saw how quickly and easily we just lost them, especially in summer. The sort of topography, the environment, everything about the Sabi Sands is very, very different compared to the Masai Mara. The Masai Mara is very flat, very open, not much thick vegetation or trees. And therefore it's very easy to follow hyenas, follow them hunting. And it could be the difference in environment, that they really don't hunt as much as the Masai Mara. Could also be due to the fact that there's lots of predators here, lots of opportunities to scavenge, or it could just be lack of information, and they actually do hunt just as much here, Okay, we've got 3 little monkeys coming to eat my car. Here we go. So yes, I'm not sure, but they do hunt here. There's absolutely no way that the Juma clan, I've mentioned this before, can sustain themselves just by scavenging. I think they hunt a lot more. Hello, good morning. Yes. Sorry, I'm surrounded. I cannot believe Corky's little daughter and the transformation. Oh, she's getting so big. Oh, Ribbon's here as well. I've just spotted her. So as I sit and enjoy the hyena den, we're going to send you down to Swallow with the good old Meerkats.
Rockstar update! Yay! So we've only had 2 meerkats pop up so far this morning, but some more to come. There they come. It's a little bit windy this morning, so temperature's sitting around 22 degrees, about 71 Fahrenheit, with about an 18 kilometer an hour wind. So they will be a little bit weary, lots of things moving around in their eyesight. They'll be looking around, and slowly, as they have a bit more confidence, the rest of them will start coming out. Just some burrow maintenance. I'm going to move out of Darby shots. I don't even introduce myself. This is what I keep forgetting. I get so excited to talk to you. I'm Deirdre, and on camera with us this morning is Darby. We're at the Rockstar Den. So good to see them again. You'll see, because I'm coming around from behind and Darby's on the other side, they look all around, so I'm going to go walking back around to join the same side as Darby, so that if that what we believe is a sort of skittish alpha male comes out, we're all at least in the same place, and he doesn't feel like there's things from different sides. We obviously don't want them to come up this morning and then run away from everybody. We want to show you the update. So that's the alpha female that you're seeing there. You can actually quite clearly see the little teats. I believe everyone is happy to see the Rockstars. So am I. It's always nice to get an update every now and again, and you never know, it's that sort of apprehensive feeling every time you come to the burrow to see, is every member there every single morning? Because we don't always get to know exactly which one they go in for at night time. Sometimes if the weather conditions during the day are not ideal, they'll actually even sort of go down and go to bed earlier, and sometimes not where they normally are. So they can be, as you all know, I know the viewers have sat watching empty holes for a while. As you all know, it is quite hard to know exactly where they are every day. And also, it becomes a betting game in the morning between myself and Darby as to which hole they're going to pop out of, because they've got so many. You never know which one to focus the camera on. So don't forget to send your questions to #WildEarth. Lisa G saying, yay, Rockstars take the stage. Absolutely, they are not quite rocking this morning. We just need a few more to come out. But as I say, with this little wind, it might take a little bit of time before the whole family is out and standing in the sun. That wind is also going to affect, because it's a little bit of a chilly wind, it is going to affect the temperature regulation for first thing in the morning. We're going to send you across to Matt and his zebras, but we're going to stay here for hopefully an update for the rest of them to come out. We will patiently wait.
Morning everybody, and welcome to And Beyond Punda Private Game Reserve, where this morning we've come to where we left those lions and elephants and that big herd of buffalo last night. My name is Matt, and behind the camera we've got Owen, and we've just come to see if we couldn't find those lions, but completely different change of scenery here. We found some warthog in the drinking at the watering hole, a couple of zebra now grazing. You see there's even more joining them, impala behind them. No signs of any of those three, the lions, the elephants or the buffalo. But some incredible light this morning on these zebra who are very much awake, and some of them, one or two of them, have their heads down, busy grazing. The rest, as they've crossed this open area, this dried up watering hole, they've crossed it quite quickly. They obviously feel a little bit more vulnerable and exposed out in the open, and feel a little bit more comfortable closer to the woodlands. But that wind that we had yesterday afternoon pumping through is slowly starting to pick up now again. I have a feeling today's going to be another hot day, so that watering hole is going to be like a gold mine a little bit later on, I think. And this is exactly where those elephants disappeared to yesterday. So they could too very well still be in these woodlands or the thicker areas busy feeding, and they'll probably come out at some stage during the day to have a bit of a feed, or a drink rather, sorry, because this is the only patch of water out in this area. There's even a warthog, I think it's the same warthog that we saw drinking earlier on, who's now joined the zebra. Not a bad spot for him to hang out, with all these eyes and ears keeping a lookout for predators like those lions. That warthog obviously a lot lower to the ground, can't see too well. But we're gonna head across to Andrew and see what the hyena that he's with is up to.
Thanks, Matt. So we have left these herd of elephants. I have moved away from Gary Dam already into that wood, but we've got two hyenas in this area. I think this is where the pride of lion was seen last night, and they're busy sniffing around here, probably trying to see if they can refollow these lions, because they're very capable of always be behind the big cats for possible scavenging if there's anything that pride have killed. So they're sniffing on the ground, and maybe just because of that lions were seen with a full belly around here. Could be that still a lot of a smell that whatever died here, but we're going to follow them just to see how they move far from us. But the other tracks of the other pride have been seen. Subergate Junction area, the guys are following up there. And then if they're going to head that way along that Tundam Road, looks like they're going to end up in that position. I'm not sure if these are the same hyena that Lauren got, and if it's that so, then looks like they or maybe gave up on their hunt, and that young one able to escape away from them. That young wildebeest. Corsi. So hyena, their favorite meal, anything they come across dead animal, especially, they don't mind rotten, very rotten meat, old skin, and their preference when they have to hunt any baby small, baby wildebeest, baby zebras, anybody who cannot make it fast in terms of running, they would be preferred to hunt those. And you see them hunt where in a group. They would hunt waterbuck, they would hunt sometimes even a wildebeest or a zebra in a group of 10, 8 animals, individual group. But in terms of any meat they can prefer, even though it's not fresh. When you see them feed, you can actually witness how ferocious they are. They don't actually feed like other cats do. They pretty much rip apart skin, flesh, and bones, and swallow those as soft bones and swallowed up. And so feeding methods different to lions and a leopard, where they cut skin roughly using these carnassial teeth, which these they have, but since they have built up with so strong jaws, they just tear apart the skin and the flesh. So I'm gonna try see if I can go in there. So I'm gonna be sticking with this hyena, see what they're doing while I'm linking you back to Meerkat.
So she's just seen potentially a jackal in the distance. So with having pups in the den, our Meerkat habituator, Veronique, she's told us that the pups are about 3 weeks old, which literally means any day now they're actually going to start coming out to sort of play around the burrow area and be fed by the adults around the burrow, and then start, after a couple of days around the burrow, then move somewhere else. So look at how alert she is. She's not taking her eyes off him. He's far in the distance. They've got incredible eyesight. But she's seen him already. I can see him running across there in the background. So that would be one of their biggest threats, is jackal, especially with pups in a den. The jackals don't necessarily go in the holes or can get in the holes, but because the pups are there, the adults don't want to move, so it does make them very vulnerable. She's obviously determined that he's far enough away. She'll keep an eye on him, but she's also can't be focused solely on him. She also has to keep checking around, but she'll be well aware that he's there now, and she'll just keep checking. Sometimes slight advantage with them at the moment, because we are here, we actually it's not what we want to do. We don't want to alter sort of normal natural behavior, but we do also tend to repel the predators a little bit during the times that we are with them. So maybe they get a little bit of a reprieve. So you can all start having bets on your little feed down at the bottom. Which day do we think this week the little pups are going to come out? If it's 3 weeks, they really, really are due any day now. Maybe today is the day, who knows? But she's been out for a while, and only the other one that's been housekeeping, but we haven't seen any of the others. And they might not necessarily be in the same hole as she was. They could be popping up at any one of the others in that time frame. She's having a good check. That jackal just did a full circle, but still far enough away that I don't think she feels too threatened. She hasn't sent out any alarm or anything like that, so he's far enough away. So we're going to send you across to Lauren. It's got an update on some Hyena Cubs, and we'll just stay right here.
Oh, it's all fun and games at the den this morning. All the cubs are out. We've got Heart's pair, Corky's daughter, and Ngwazi and Shimbulu are just feeding off in the distance. Joanna will give you a little bit of a view, but Ribbon's a little bit further away. So the only cub that's missing is, of course, June's cub. And I think I'm maybe a little bit late. I think I've missed the milk bar. It's now closed because of all the excitement this morning. And it definitely was Nzabeli and Swazi. Thank you, Michael. Incredible to see brother and sister hunt like that. I think they went into that drainage, and it's one of the trickiest drainage lines we have. So it'll all be over. They might appear here once they've finished feeding. They actually might end up at the den. Indabelle was spending a lot of time on Chitwa for a while, and it's nice to see that she's back on Juma, spending time with her bro. Leah, they don't live together as such. I'm just going to turn my radio down. Their social structure is a clan. Just like Scottish people have clans. I am from the Arthur clan. Anyway, their social structure is a clan, and it's very hierarchical for the females. So it's almost like a proverbial ladder, if you like, with the matriarch at the top, and then slowly it filters down to the lowest ranking hyena. And for males, it's slightly different. They do sort of have a hierarchy, but it's based on different things. There's no real leader of the males, but you're sort of ranked a little bit higher due to tenure, the longest time that you've been with the clan, and due to sort of age and your status. There's all sorts of different things for males, and they cooperate in a clan. They don't necessarily live together. You only really find hyenas together like this when there's a den. They can be quite independent as well. They can scavenge alone, they can hunt alone, they can sleep alone. But because we're so lucky to have a communal den here, that's when everybody sort of comes together. This is the area that they integrate, they spend time with the new cubs, socialize, basically. This is where the party's at. So yes, they will stay in clans their entire life. Females will stay in their natal clan. They will never leave the Juma clan, for example. But males, they have a choice. When they get to a certain age, it's either just stay with the natal clan, retain your status. If you're a high-ranked hyena, like Swazi was Pretty's son, you're in good position. You're going to get respect from the females. You're going to get lots of access to food. But they're probably never going to mate with you. So the other choice is to disperse, and of course that's what most males do. Disperse, find another clan that's going to take you in nearby, and work hard at gaining their trust. Be loyal, be submissive, take a beating or two, be bullied, but you'll get there. And eventually the females in the new clan will trust you, and of course you'll have plenty mating opportunities, which, let's face it, that's what the males want. So 97% of all males are said to disperse from their natal clan, and 3% are said to stay. But there's trade-offs, there's pros and cons to both decisions. The vegetation, is it a stick she's eating? She's having the best time with the stick. Maybe she's going to be vegetarian. Now, I do really believe it's time that Heart's pair and Corky's singlet get names, so I think we're going to work very hard on that over the festive period. I can't keep calling them Heart's pair. Just like Ngwazi and Shimbulu, they're going to get names. And because they belong to the Juma clan, most likely will go to the Juma team that you all probably know. Benotti, Rickson, Aubrey, Mike, even Michelle. And we'll get them to provide some beautiful names for the cubs. So I think, as I mentioned, we've missed the feeding for June's little one, and because it's so small, from what I could gather yesterday, it's very, very young, and therefore most likely not going to be out and about for maybe about a week or two yet. I know Trishala tried so hard. I think it's just luck of the draw. It's all about timing. So So we're going to stay here a little bit longer before we bumble off and see what else we can find. But for now, we're going to send you back down to Deirdre and her meerkats.
Welcome back to Tswalu. So there's a few more Rockstars out. The rest of the band is out, as opposed to just the two-man band we saw earlier. There's 6 of them that have come out. They contact calling a little bit because they're still nervous that Jackal is still around. So they're still talking to each other a little bit. They're doing a little bit of burrow maintenance, but they're not moving too far. I think the wind is definitely a factor that'll hold them at the burrow slightly longer. And also if there is a predator moving around on their outskirts, it'll also make them hesitate to move on quite quickly. With the wind, they just want to warm up nicely, which is why they're all facing the nice sunrise. Just warm up a little bit before they think about getting going. So we haven't seen Pups yet. We don't have an update, but we're still holding thumbs. The jackal's definitely, it's on our left, so you can see them looking in that direction. But it did a wide circuit, so I don't think a problem for them at this stage, but they just want to be aware. Michelle's comment is that they are all so cute. Well, just wait until the babies come out. They're so cute when they're tiny, but they grow so quickly. There's, I can see the one on the left in the front here is a little sub-adult. That one came out a minute or two ago and is really struggling to wake up. It's just sort of like, it props itself up on its tail and then sits down, and then the head sort of starts drooping. I've had my cup of coffee. But they are so cute. That was probably me. I moved too suddenly, and that was the reaction that you get. So it just shows you how alert and aware they actually are for movement around them. Yeah, still not sure, eh? So I think I got the name as Twilight, and the question is, what sounds do meerkats make? So they've got probably about 18 or more different vocalizations depending on what they need to tell each other. If there's a sentry and he's gone, like the one at the back is sort of taken a little bit of a sentry duty higher up, but if they go up into a tree or it's their job to watch out over the group, they've got different alarm calls for different things. So they've got alarm calls for jackal, they've got alarm calls for aerial predators. So it would just depend. And they've got little contact communication, which is generally sort of soft little doot, 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 and while they're talking to each other constantly. And that's just to keep the group cohesive, so they all know where each other is. And it's just a reassurance that even sometimes consistently from the sentry to say, don't worry, I've got your back, I'm still watching, I'm still on duty. And then there's the alarm. If they sound the alarm, everybody must react, and depending on what the alarm is where they must be. If it's an aerial predator, they just need to sort of duck or get to bushes or try and get into a hole, and if it is a ground predator like a jackal, at the moment they'll all just stick close to the burrow so that they can go down relatively quickly. But lots of cute little sounds they do make. And they'll have different sounds even if if they see a rival mob of meerkats, they've got different sounds. I'm going to send you across to Lauren, who's got some playful hyenas.
Hyenas also have different sounds, 14 different vocalizations they're said to have. From the giggle, that gives them their sort of reputation of being almost demonic and laughing their heads off like a maniac, especially in The Lion King. But giggling is one of their sounds, and again, the word giggling is a human word from the English language that humans term that sound. They're not actually giggling. It's just a sound that they produce that sounds like they're giggling. It's normally when they're nervous. They get really, really nervous and they produce that sound. Maybe they're scared, maybe they're being bullied, maybe there's a threat. It's normally between hyenas that they make that sound. It's not normal when they do it if they're facing a leopard or a lion. Generally, they do it in a sort of interaction with another hyena. There's the iconic whooping. Whoop. I'm terrible at that, but I love that sound. And many, many other vocalizations. And what's so remarkable is their cognitive ability to recognize every call an individual can make in their own clan. So let's just say there's 10 members in your clan, and each can produce 14 different vocalizations. That's 140 different vocalizations that you can recognize and identify exactly who is producing those vocalizations. Now, that's a lot of cognitive processing, and that shows extreme intelligence. And there's different ways to gauge intelligence, and again, this is coming from a human perspective, and that's our stumbling block. It used to be thought the bigger brain, the more intelligence. And yes, big-brained animals can be intelligent, but that's not the only intelligence marker, and I think we're silly to think that. I'm so convinced we don't fully understand how intelligent... Oh, there's the cub. Hello? It's just like, I'm just having a little look, see what's going on, and then I'm going back to sleep again. Probably looking for Mum. And Mum is clearly snoozing right there. I didn't think we were going to get a view this morning. June had 2 girls last time. She still has 1 girl, Sutu. And I wonder what this little cub will be, or is already. Oh, sweet. So it's clearly awake in there. And it's a good thing the vehicle's here. Habituation. Start them young. We'll get another look. I can see movement. There's definitely a little ear moving there. You see? We see you. Oh, hello. Are you going to be brave enough to come outside? Into the big bad world? Past the entrance? Of course, Mum's right there. So when Mum's there, you become braver. I didn't catch that name, but do hyenas have any predators? Not necessarily, no. There's no species that hunts hyenas. But in terms of threats, yes. If a leopard can, it will. If there's an opportunity to kill a hyena, absolutely. And they will definitely kill hyena cubs. If a leopard was to come here and all the cubs were out and there was no adults present, yes, the leopard would kill all of the cubs if it can. Lions, exactly the same. If a lion can kill an adult, it will. And it would absolutely take the cubs. Wild dogs probably wouldn't kill an adult, but they could, especially if they're together in the pack, they could take down an adult. We see it regularly on videos on social media and YouTube, the sort of relationship between wild dogs and hyenas. They're enemies. And sometimes you'll see a pack of 15 dogs surrounding one hyena, and they could absolutely kill it, but they rarely do. And other hyenas. Hyenas can kill hyenas, and it's a horrible, horrible thing to witness, but it happens, and it's normally from different clans. It can happen within the clan as well if there's a dispute, especially at a matriarchal takeover. If we look at June, this beached whale that is lying so elegantly on the side of the mound with her big belly, her sort of downfall was the matriarchal takeover when Ribbon decided she was going to change everything up. She was so badly injured. Her ear flopped over. She was really not in good condition. She got attacked. And it happened right in our camp. Wild Earth's camp was where that happened. I have never seen all my colleagues in their nightwear, their pajamas or state of undress before than I did that night. Everyone came running out at the blood-curdling screams in pajamas and boxers and towels and, oh my goodness, we'd all been sleeping. And the sound, it was like a murder was happening in our camp. It was awful. It was very disturbing, and it was coming from the matriarchal takeover. And unfortunately, it was dark. So we didn't get to see much, but we did see June run away. And we knew it was her. We identified her. And she was covered in blood, and that ear was just, well, it's never been the same since. And that was from other hyenas. So during events like that, a takeover, a standoff, they could technically kill each other, but it's normally between clans. I keep laughing. These cubs are just having the best time. Heartspare and Corky's one are just loving life right now. So I think I'm going to take my words back and sit here just a little bit longer in case we get another view of the cubs. But we're going to send you guys across to those meerkats.
So we still no pups yet. I don't know how thin my patience is, but no, we'll keep sticking here and see what happens. We've been hearing them. So they in this little hole in the front here where these two are, somewhere in there. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's all six. I was like, where did that one come from? But that's all six. We've been laughing, we've been chuckling at the alpha male. He's also been struggling to wake up a bit this morning. He was sort of half in, half out there. He just sits down at the back there. And he was also sort of doing a little bit of some eye winking there because he was struggling a little bit. So between Davy, Veronique and myself, we've got a bet running as to how many pups are going to emerge, whether it's today or in the next couple of days. So it'll be interesting to see on the chat stream how many you think. I know that you viewed them with Davy and Kyle. 3 weeks ago you would have seen how big the alpha female was. So send us your guesses as to how many pups we think are going to come out. Oh, there's a little alpha, not an alpha, but a young male doing some burrow maintenance. I think they've lost visual of that jackal because they're looking less in that direction. Seb is asking, why are the meerkats called Rockstars? I'll probably actually ask Veronique. She's shrugging her shoulders. So they just generationally get these names. I mean, I think they've been called the Rockstars for quite a number of years. We actually have... I'd probably say we've got a road network here, and there's a road that's got 5 junctions from it, so like a star shape, and there's a rock in the middle of the junction, so that was called Rockstar Junction, and that's probably a June or two over. And that was where the original sort of Meerkat group started, and they probably got named, like most of the leopards and other things get named after the area that they come from. So my guess is that they got named after the Rockstar Junction, which was relatively close to their burrows. But Rockstars also just sounds awesome. And then the Makala Group. Makala is a camel thorn in the local language, and one of their den sites where their first set of pups emerged when they had become more relaxed with people. That was when they got their name, the Makalas, because of the den that they came out of. And the horses probably also from the property that they came out. So that's the three groups that we follow on a regular basis. So we're going to send you across to Taylor, who's got a herd of buffalo, and we're going to stick it out here and see, while they're still at the burrows, if anything else comes out.
Well, it's a chilly morning here on Pridelands, but we have found the same herd of buffalo that we stumbled into yesterday afternoon. Perhaps you remember them. We'll keep an eye out for tungsten, but they don't seem very impressed with us, which I suppose is just the normal nature of an African buffalo. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Sebastian Rombi, and like I said, we're here at Pridelands. It's cold today, hey Seb? Mm-hmm. It's not nice. Breezy is what we've used to describe it, with a hint of chill, but of course I'm still in shorts, so it's my own fault. Anyways, this herd of buffalo not particularly impressed with us. They are quite nervous, and I feel like it's this particular herd that we used to see them all the time. There's not a lot of young calves in this particular group. I think, Seb, you must remember them when we first started going live here at Pridelands. It was the group that we saw all the time. Anyways, and they disappeared for a while, and there's actually 2 breeding herds on Pridelands at the moment, which is awesome. Little oxpecker holding on for dear life. And they've always been a bit on the jumpy side. The other herd is a lot more relaxed, so I'm not sure why these lot are so highly strung. You can see the cows are often not particularly impressed with us, and they normally come right out to make sure that they can have a good look. You might also hear a few cars just in the distance. We're quite close to one of the boundaries. And remember, Pridelands is awesome. It's right outside Hoedspruit, which is epic, that the wilderness areas literally are on the edges, on the fringes of these small towns. Hello, boy. None of them have got table manners this morning, all got grass hanging out of their mouth. I think what they're going to do is stick around here. It's nice grazing, a bit dense, quite thick. Wouldn't like to come walking about here. I don't think you would see these buffalo. Definitely surprising, but with the chilliness and the wind seems to be picking up, it'll be a nice sheltered spot for this herd to just spend their day, and I'm sure they'll do a loop and go back towards Buffalo Pans. We were yesterday and we had the elephants and them all interacting with one another, but there you can see they're actually buffalo inside there, but look how thick it is as they hide sort of within the shadows of some of the trees. I think what we will do, though, is move on from these buffalo. I am in search of that breeding herd of elephants we spent some time with yesterday. I'd like to catch up with a little calf with a short trunk. Off we go across to Matt, who's got some very, very sleepy lions.
Welcome back, everybody, to And Beyond Pindo, where we've struck gold. One of the other guides that was with us looking for these lions that we saw yesterday has managed to find them quite a way away from that watering hole, further east of where they were. The 2 that you can see in picture lying out in the open, the 2 young males are doing a bit of window shopping. On the other side of the hill is a zebra busy looking at them. So they're lying out and exposed. The other two lions, or at least mom and one of the other males, are lying tucked away underneath a quarry on a shady patch. Already fast asleep for 10 to 7 this morning. It's a lovely Thursday morning. It's already starting to warm up quite a bit. I didn't have a jersey on this morning, but everyone else owned behind the camera has peeled his layers off because he's already warming up to the Zululand heat. And the two that you see, you can't really see the one in the middle, but the two that you see lying out in the open, the one's got his mouth open, he's panting, trying to catch his breath just because it is so hot. But what a spectacular view these lions have, looking north and further to the west of this reserve base, or the start of the Lambama mountain range. Off in the distance you see that zebra that I was talking about squaring off to these lions, although because they're lying out in the open and are exposed as they are, I don't think we'll see anything happening here. They've got quite a distance to cover if they were to try and hunt, but they may be just waiting for a zebra to pass by on this side of the mountain to make life a little bit easier for them. You remember we saw that one with a bit of a wound, or that gash on its shoulder yesterday? I don't think that's either of these two lying here in front of us. Just having a look now through the binoculars. But I don't see that on either of them. Might be one of the ones tucked away in the shade, or this one here next to us lying completely flat. And are you asking which pride these lions are from? It's a pride that we refer to as the Bayala pride of lions. Those two big males that you saw drinking the other day with Deerwald are the dominant males of this pride, although they are really far away from this mom and her youngsters because of the fact that the fathers and these three are of the age where they can start causing trouble for them. They'll start kicking them out of the pride, and I think that's what we're starting to see here. They haven't been together with those older males for quite some time now, and I think it's any day now that this mom is going to leave them be and they'll go off on their own and be nomadic for a bit. But this is a Bayala lioness and her three young male or sub-adult cubs. We're going to go from these sleepy cats to Lauren, who's got an active hyena. See what that hyena's up to.
Very active indeed. Well, the adults, not so much. But the youngsters, my goodness. It's also quite endearing to watch the relationship that Corky's daughter has built with Hart's pair. She was so close with Ribbon's pair, Ngwazi and Shimbulu, and I obviously can't prove this, but I do feel having both Ngwazi and Shimbulu for a long time in the den, it helped Corky's daughter build up a lot of strength and helped her grow into the little girl she is today. And what I mean by that is I really feel if Corky's daughter was alone in the den, her survival rate would have been a lot lower, just because she is the lowest ranker, or one of the lowest rankings offspring.
Well, so I'm gonna take
Sorry everyone, it gets me every single time. And yeah, she had them not necessarily for protection, but for company, companionship, a little bit of protection. I guess she learned from the boys who already understood a lot more about their environment because they were older than she did. And I really, really do believe that the fact that Ribbon's boys were older and already in the den, and it was two of them that assisted Corky's daughter in growing up. Sir, 50. Not that I know of. I know in the Masai Mara, for example, the North Clan, Waffles clan, or should I say it's now Soup's clan, it's a huge clan. Phenomenal numbers. You sit at the den and your ID skills go out the window. There's cups out. Sorry, I'll come back to you, Sir, 50. Wants to come for Mom. Mom is currently being attacked by Corky's little one. There you go, June. Don't block that entrance with your ginormous bottom. Oh my goodness, June, you're going to drown your little... Oh my goodness. You are peeing into the den. Wow. You are peeing on your offspring. Well, that was delightful. I don't know if we'll see the cup again after that. It's probably very wet. So, Sir 50. In the Masai Mara, you have the North Clan, very big established clan. And really not too far away, you have the Happy Zebra clan, you have the Olololo clan. They're all in very close proximity to one another in the Masai Mara. And as I already mentioned, it's a very different terrain, a very different topography, a very different environment. And yet they all coexist in their own little zones, in their own little territories. But they're very close to one another. They're neighbours, and yet they coexist. They still utilise the same environment, more so than what I see here in Djuma. And we'll find Olololo members in the Happy Zebra sort of area. I'm going to say area instead of territory. We'll find North Clan members in the Olololo area. So they all sort of live very, very close to one another, but yet we've seen clashes. We have footage, I'm sure it was Jamie's sighting, of the North Clan having a huge battle with the Happy Zebra clan. So they're not friends, they will fight, but they do coexist. I hope that answers your question, Sir 50. June, I cannot believe you just urinated on your child. Karen, sadly not. Sadly, they don't wag their tails like dogs. They do move their tails. They swoosh it from side to side, but it's more so a fly swatter than anything else to keep the flies away from their precious genitalia. It sort of swooshes when they move as well, but it doesn't wag. It's very much a dog thing, a domestic dog thing. Now, hyenas use their tails when they're also showing dominance. Like last night, Ribbon and Antima came in and their tails were erect and completely upright, curving over onto their backs, and that's a sign of dominance. You'll find hyenas do this when there's a battle, or maybe an intruder they're not sure about, or when they're trying to say, like, I am the matriarch. Respect me. It's very much what happened last night. But not wagging, Karen, sadly. But they do behave a lot like dogs. You could easily be forgiven for thinking they were part of the Kennedy family, alongside wild dogs, alongside the Ethiopian wolf, foxes. the grey wolf, you could be forgiven, but they're not. They're very much in their own family, and they're more closely related to the cats, the Felidae, but they're very like dogs. Oh, what a great morning. I do think we shall extend it just a little bit longer, but we are going to send you across to Matt with his lions.
Welcome back, everybody, to Pinda, where those two lions that were lying out and exposed in the sun have now retreated to the shade, or the comfort of the shade. And I think we might have to do the same in a bit, because it is warming up very fast here on Pinda. A lot more camouflaged when they're lying in the shade as opposed to lying out in the sun. That zebra on the far side is still steering straight in this direction. And I didn't realize it at the time, but felt like there was another lion behind us with a bit of an explosion out the bush next to us. But that was actually a warthog coming out of its burrow with a couple of piglets, which brought everyone to attention. This lion here closest to us has just had a big old yawn, which for cats is sort of typical behavior of them starting to get active and to move about. But maybe this one's just going to find a more comfortable patch of shade. You can see that head bobbing now, those ear flicks because of those flies, probably irritating it quite a bit. And I'm hoping that it will, while it's on air or on the screen, will yawn again for us. But they're having moved quite a distance from where they were last night. This is probably going to be their resting place for the day. The one in the middle has just collapsed in a heap. It's lying completely flat, but this one now is also in and out of consciousness. Eyes slowly starting to fade. And that head bobbing showing us that it's also starting to warm up, panting. There we go, there's another big yawn. On these sleepy cats, we're going to head across to Deirdre with her a little bit more alert meerkats.
So the others have left in the meantime. They've just gone off foraging, heading out west. This seems to be babysitter, so now taking duty seriously because of the fact that those jackal were around. And while we were closed for another one of those breaks, there was another jackal that ran in the distance, but also far enough away. But this is one of the sub-adults, so huge responsibility to get babysitting duty. And when there are young pups in the den, the rest of them don't tend to go too far. They go out foraging and they come back and they check and then sometimes swap over the babysitter so that the other one can go out feeding. And we were chatting about it a little bit earlier that they can afford to spend a little bit longer at the burrows in the summer season because there is an abundance of prey. I mean, you just look at how many insects we've been showing you on Wild Earth over the last few days. You can just imagine, with those good rains that we've had, the early rains, there's just an abundance of food at the moment. So for them, they can forage relatively close to the burrow while they've got some pups and keep coming. And as soon as those pups are mobile, they'll move them to a different burrow set so that they can carry on foraging in a new area. But babysitting duty, really, really serious thing to do. And at least we know this one's on alert and not napping this morning. Safari Kitty, your question, very interesting. What is the survival rate on meerkat pups? Wow. I probably half ask Veronique that question, but at the same time, from my experience, I would have to say that it's relative to the size of the group, how effective they are as a group at sentry duty. But sometimes, just like has what happened, and some of the viewers have seen, honey badger come in, and then suddenly the group that was 10 becomes 8 or 7, and there we go. So maybe there's another babysitter. That one just left duty. So there was one meerkat that we haven't seen. So hopefully we've still got one on duty with the pups. But survival rate, if they're having 5, sometimes maybe 1 or 2 of them actually get to becoming sub-adults. I mean, Veronique, you agree, not even all of them actually. Sometimes they lose the entire litter. So for them, they'll constantly be trying to breed. If an alpha female loses pups, as by nature, if it's by predators or for whatever reason, as soon as she's able to fall pregnant again, she does that. And it will also depend on the time of the year that she's pregnant as to how successful they are at managing and feeding the pups. So, the bets are here on how many, Darby? What did you say?
5.
Darby says 5. Veronique says 6. I never saw the female, so I'll go with maybe 4. And we'll see what comes out for the particular group. No, they've probably. So we're going to move on and see if we can find something to tell you this morning.
So we now got the pride of lions again. Looks like it's the same pride as yesterday or as last night. And they actually have done a lot of walking since from that last position close to Gary Dam. Looks like they've done a big loop, which they went to quarantine and south from there. And now we're on Dragonfly Road, Hyena Junction with Central. So this is where we are right now. But they look kind of like very a low contact, which I think not all of them that I can see. I can see about 7 of them. For now, could be more around. So they will be carrying on doing a lot of contact. So it happens. The other member not far from here. Maybe this separation happened due to a hunting situation. But they will reunite again. Just gonna take a silence here, just if we can hear the audio of them. It went quiet again. So now there is number 8 coming out of the bush. Could be that they're all around in this wood, but communication, it means that they other member not around here. And they're looking now the opposite side there, whether they have a response already. So I'm going to reposition. While I'm doing that, I'm going to link you back to Matt with his line again.
Welcome back, everybody, to Pindo, where very little has changed here with these lions. Mouth's still open. That zebra has moved off, probably to the woodlands down below, where it's a little bit more shady and sheltered from this heat. That's starting to rise at a rapid rate. Those two lions on the left-hand side, you can see them starting to groom themselves there. It stands up. There's not much shade there where they're lying, the two of them. Just a bit of a reshuffle basically into that guarri bush now. And I think they're just going to chase the shade throughout the day. These lions, the one that's still lying exposed that we can still see, I think is going to get up and move shortly as well. I think today's got the potential to be a really, really hot day here. Most grateful for this breeze that we have blowing. Just having a look at this chap here that we saw yawning earlier. He's having a bit of a scratch now. Also a little bit of a groom. It would be interesting to see if it decides to move off at all, also into another patch of shade, maybe slightly further back behind it. A little bit of a shake of the mane. Another big old yawn. Oof, look at those teeth. But nowhere near as big as those males that you would have seen a couple of days ago with Deelwald. Big, dark, black manes. Now this chap's licking his chops. I haven't been able to see if any of them have eaten. I don't know they haven't really stood up for me to see their bellies well enough, but I don't think they managed to catch anything last night. So 3 growing young boys who have quite an appetite. I'm sure just wide awake now, also just hoping that something comes their way that they can hopefully try their luck at, or if mom's up to it, to see if she won't try and catch something for them. Let's have a look now. The yawning and the grooming. This chap might potentially go there. They've got such yellow eyes and a really piercing stare. It's almost as if they look straight through you. This breeze sadly is blowing in the wrong direction, but I think if it was coming from behind us, they might get up and walk towards this burrow where the warthog came out of. He's looking in that direction. So let's see now if it doesn't decide to go and investigate there. No. Just wants to crawl into that guarri, that little patch of shade. Yep. That's it. I'm afraid. Not coming to investigate the warthog burrow, which would be quite exciting because I have seen big males and females dig out warthog from their burrow, but the lot are not that interested in them this morning. I think it's just too hot, and for them to try and invest so much energy in something like that, try and dig something out, is probably just not worth it. A lot of tail flicking going on now from the one in the middle. I think also now that it's warming up, all these flies are starting to get a little bit too much. Myself and Lauren are going to stay here. We're going to send you off to Lauren with her beautiful insects. We're going to see what else we can find this morning.
We're still at the hyena den, but look at this. One of my favourites. Dragonfly. Is perched. He's using his 6 legs to cling onto the end against a wind. Now, I've definitely found a new appreciation for insects, and my goal over the next coming weeks is to try and share that with you all. just how incredible insects are in all their shapes and forms and different varieties. Now, there's actually more than 200 million insects for every single human being on planet Earth today. Can you believe that? Are we really the most dominant species or the most dominant group of animals on the planet? I think not. And I read a book recently and it says, right now, in this very moment, between 1 and 10 quintillion, yes, have you ever heard of that word? Quintillion. So between 1 and 10 quintillion insects are basically moving and crawling and creeping around on the planet as you speak right now, outnumbering any amount of the sort of grains of sand on any of the world's beaches. So if you think of all the beaches around the world, all those grains of sand, there's more insects than grains of sand on the beaches. They have us surrounded. I really think planet Earth is a planet of insects. And I know many people, insects, creepy, crawly. We don't want them in our bedroom. We don't want them on our bodies. Yes, we don't. I don't like insects crawling or flying into my face as I sleep, but we must appreciate them and everything they do for our planet. Dragonflies used to be much, much, much bigger than what they are right now, so we should probably think of ourselves as lucky because they're not that size anymore. They're smaller, thank goodness. And they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. And the world's tiniest insect is the fairy wasp. How cute. Little fairies. And one of the fairy wasps, I hope I get this right, is called the Huna wasp. And it belongs to the group of the fairy wasps. And it's so tiny, it comes in at 0.16 millimeters. I don't think you would be able to see that with the naked eye at all. Huna. And it comes from Polynesia. Or the Polynesian language, is spoken in Hawaii. And it means something like the tiny little dot, which is a pretty good name, I'm not going to lie. I get a little bit annoyed at some of the naming of animals, but Huna, pretty little dot, I like it. And that's a fairy wasp, one of the smallest. There's another species of dwarf wasps, and it's called Tinkerbella Nana. If I was an animal, I want that name, Tinkerbella Nana. And it does come from the fairy tale Peter Pan. But Nana actually comes from Nanos, which in Greek means dwarf. So it's coming from Nanos. But yes, Tinkerbell is exactly what you think it is. Tinkerbell from Peter Pan. And it's so small it can actually land on the tip of one of your strands of hair. Wow. Joy, you're asking what is the predators of the dragonfly? A lot, actually. You will find even a hyena, we're still at the den, would snap up a dragonfly if it landed on the ground. Raptors will eat dragonflies. Reptiles, they're probably the biggest threats. Lizards. A gecko, I've actually seen quite a small house gecko eat a dragonfly. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it's possible. Monitor lizards absolutely would. Frogs, amphibians, the bigger frogs. It's a great snack. Insects are packed with protein. It's a great way to just sort of bump up your protein budget for today. I have lots and lots of predators. Birds of prey would easily just snap it. Doesn't require much effort if it lands next to you. Isn't this such a great sighting? So we're going to stay a little bit longer at the hyena den before we do leave, but it looks like Andrew has been lucky with his lions.
Live.
Thanks, Lauren. Good luck with the hyena and the dragonfly. So as you can see, everyone here, it looks like we're all surrounded by this brood of lions. We come to reposition here, and they all just head our way. And one literally lying right on my rear wheel, which we cannot pan the camera into it right now, because then, unless if they move out of here. But, this is all about comfortable they feel with us. So there's nothing threat happening right now. They wouldn't do that, and they're not even looking at us at all. So they're still comfortable doing their own things. But they all now get around together again. They reunite, which all members are here. Since we had that communication was happening when we got them there. And it's amazing now they have crossed. We're right on the boundary, eastern boundary of Djuma and Torchwood. And they're literally now crossing into Torchwood, where it's great that we still have access to follow them. Where to me looked like since we left them last night, they don't look like they kill anything from there. Their tummy even flat than it was since we saw them. But they, I think, been doing a lot of hunting the whole entire night until they find themselves in this position. It's so cool that the pride, when they have to move, they move all together. Sometimes they're lost from one another due to the hunting when they chase and they won't reunite at the same time or find one another. And the communication that happened, they're all about making sure that all the members, they are still around. And for them, sometimes it's no mission, so there is no kind of a destination they need to reach. Especially the hunting situation, sometimes they can delay to get to somewhere because of getting interrupted by prey species that are around very much. We're going to try see the other one that they're on the other side. We haven't seen a lot of even an impala around here, so that's probably maybe that's why they all keep moving around so much. Remember what makes cats to sustain, it's all about the prey species around. Because they need to hunt them, and there's no much of that antelopes and things, then there would be no joy having these cats. So I'm going to move forward to trying to reposition. We're going to stick with this pride here, since they're disappearing away from me, but it's not that they're moving away. They're just on the road, but it's a 3-vehicle here. I'm going to try to get ourselves a position so we can view them again. So they're on the road again, but it looks like they're leading east, still along Central Road. If they don't change this direction where they're heading into, they would end up into a Torchwood Dam. So I'm going to spend time trying to be behind this bride while I'm sending you back to Lorraine with her Dragonfly.
Good luck with that, Andrew. Good luck. We're still admiring the Dragonfly. I cannot get enough of the beauty. We're still surrounded by the hyenas. They're all snoozing now, though, outside of the den. But it's very sort of rare that you actually get to see a dragonfly stay still for so long. And why? Well, they're ectothermic. So They're powered by the sun. They're solar powered. And it's really not that warm. I put my jersey on, so it's probably waiting to get enough energy to soar into the sky. Now, I mentioned insects are so successful. Really successful. They're everywhere in all different shapes and sizes. And one of the main factors that contributed to their success many years ago is the fact that they can fly. So somewhere around 400 million years ago, they had a fantastic innovation to develop wings. Now that means that they could then reach nutrition in vegetation that's a little bit higher up. They don't have to climb. And it means that then not only can they reach the top of the trees, they can then disperse. They can leave their earthbound enemies and go somewhere else. Wings is one of the biggest factors to the success of insects. And Sir 50, yes, dragonflies are cool insects. They're very cool. And if you learn about, look at it clinging on for dear life here. If you learn about their biology and the transformation they go through throughout their life cycle, is fascinating. They hatch and they're born aquatic animals, aquatic organisms. And they change and develop into an adult form, which is the form we see here right now. So when we think of metamorphosis, you think of butterflies, caterpillar and butterflies, but actually so many insects undergo a metamorphosis, and dragonflies are one of them. They're very similar to damselflies. They're closely related. They both belong to Odonata. But just by looking at the body, that short, fat body, you know straight away that it's a dragonfly and not a damselfly. And at the point when insects developed wings, no one else, no living organism could fly. That's why they were so successful, able to get into every single ecological niche, every single habitat across the globe. No one else could get there. So there wasn't any birds at the point when insects could fly. Birds came later. There wasn't any bats or even pterosaurs, dinosaurs. It was a long time before the dinosaurs arrived. Insects were the first. And they literally occupied every single habitat that was possible. So it's said that they had global dominance of airspace for more than 150 million years before other species around the world started to occupy the airspace. And I'm not talking about humans and aeroplanes. I'm talking about animals with wings, with the ability to fly. They had the airspace all to themselves, which is just amazing. They've also survived 5 rounds of mass extinctions. So 5 mass extinctions they've survived. And they're still here. We're still surrounded by insects, even ones that we don't see. We're surrounded. And we need them. A world without insects would not be possible for us. We really require insects. And sadly, due to the way that humans live, pesticides, pollution, toxic chemicals in the air, we're destroying insects at a rapid rate. And just look how beautiful this dragonfly is with these huge eyes. You can see in 360 degrees. Look how precisely he's perched on the end of this branch here. The colours glinting in the light. If only there was sunlight, we could see it a little bit better. Okay. Poor dragonfly here. I'm not sure how long it's going to be able to hold on for. But as we admire this insect, we're going to send you off to swallow.
So we've just arrived at a bat-eared fox den, and the bat-eared foxes have just departed. So just give us a moment. They've apparently got 3 little pups in this den. It's a little bit windy, so that might be why they ran away, but hopefully they're a little bit relaxed. There's most likely this little hole in the ground here, Darby, I would say. Just very insignificant. You wouldn't even think that it's a home for somebody, but it looks like that's where they've been, between here and that raisin bush, been using as a den. We were hoping to catch them. We're probably a little bit too late in this morning. We spent quite a bit of time with the Rockstars, but everybody wanted a Rockstar update, so we might be a little bit too late for them to have come out of the, or still be lying out in the sun in the mornings for the pups. But very nice, some gemsbok on the dunes there, beautiful. Also nervous, the wind is pretty strong this morning, so the animals will move pretty quickly if they feel threatened at all. We're just going to stand by here a little bit and see if the adults are relaxed enough to come back. Just beautiful, beautiful scenery. We're about 4 dunes over into the west from that mountain range. That sounds very funny. I'm going to send you to Matt and his monkeys.
Welcome back, everybody. We've left those lions to sleep for the rest of the day and come across, in fact, where those lions were yesterday, a troop of monkeys. And in picture now, there's a tiny little baby vervet monkey that's hopping around and jumping quite a bit. And further down the road, beyond the monkeys, are a troop of baboons, which is quite interesting. I've never seen the two together like this. But the baby, unlike those lions, far more energetic, doing a little bit of grooming. There it is in picture now, saying hello to maybe its mom or a cousin or a sibling. Now hopping on the back of mom, but minute. Have a look at those super pink ears on its face. And still very, very pink legs. That little vervet monkey is minute. It can't be, if a couple of days old, I think, up on its back legs and just venturing around now with the comfort of everyone else. Yesterday when we were here with those lions, you could hear a couple of them alarming at the back. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was 1 or 2 of them. Have a look at what's landed in the road now, the bird that's landed in the road. For those of you who are making lists at home, it's a green-winged Pretilia. Such pretty little birds, those orange bills, the red little bit on its tail, green wings. And then it's going to disappear as quickly as it popped up. What a busy little spot this, with the baboons and the monkeys and the birds. Another vivid monkey coming into the road. We are in quite a busy intersection here, so I wouldn't be surprised if someone drives up or drives from the opposite end of these baboons and monkeys. But if that's the case, maybe we can get a bit of a closer view of the monkeys, in particular that little baby. Is he jumping on the back? Have a look at this monkey running towards us now to see if it... Bernie, you're commenting on how cute these little monkey babies are. They are extremely cute. Both them and baboons, their offspring, are particularly cute. And just there where you can see it Now, in comparison to the size of the adults, tiny, super. Look, I can't even climb on the back of that adult there. Using that maybe mom as a jungle gym. But if you have a look at where all of them are sitting, all in patches of shade, it is piping hot here now on Pinda, and it's not even 8 o'clock, 7:30 in the morning. I think today is going to be upwards of about 40 odd degrees Celsius, and just that piercing humidity. And it's going to drive a lot of animals to this patch of water here next to us. Shaz, you're asking if a baboon might kill a vervet monkey. That's not something I've seen, but I mean, baboons are quite opportunistic, especially larger male baboons, who are also not scared to pluck off things like this time of year impala lambs, and maybe smaller antelope like nyala babies or younger nyala. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do or have killed vervet monkeys. Not something that I've seen, but yeah, I wouldn't put it past baboons because they can be quite vicious. Just having a look here in front of us, a lovely herd of impala out in the open. Also, like sentries, if predators like those lions maybe would come back into an area like this. Everyone's now moved off maybe into more shade. What I might do is just go from watching hole to watching hole to see if there's anything else about, maybe a couple of warthog drinking or wallowing and the likes. But let's do that. Let's slowly carry on. If we can. Old Chariot just takes a bit of love, and she eventually gets going. Thank goodness we didn't have anything like an elephant or the likes meters away from us when your starter motor decides to not start. So what we're going to do is go back to that watering hole. I can see a couple of warthog in the distance there, a couple of monkeys running away from there as well. And see what else comes to join in at the water this morning. Really hoping there are one or two little piglets here as well. There we are, a couple of impala making their way here. Egyptian geese that come stock standard with every body of water in southern Africa. One thing that we haven't seen that we typically can look out for when we are here are things like rhino, white rhino. Love these open areas in the west of the reserve. So Willie next door, I think these impala are also going to have a drink of water. Just making sure the coast is clear first. So it's not easy to compete with these Egyptian geese who make a bit of a racket. But they too have also come down for a drink of water. Interesting to watch them drink actually, when they scoop their bills up like that and tilt their heads back to drink. Really hoping that those orange-breasted waxbills make an appearance here while we're here. They are such pretty little birds, those. Even a little cameo appearance from those 3 elephant bulls that we saw yesterday would be amazing. And maybe on a really hot day like today, they'd venture to the water just below the trough that they were drinking from yesterday to cake themselves in mud. This time of year, if it's not a red-chested cuckoo that wakes you up at an absurd hour of the morning, 3:30, 4 in the morning, it would be this. Have a look at these Egyptian geese. And there's 2 pairs of them, so you might see the males have a bit of a square up. And that also can be quite vicious with geese, funnily enough. And maybe overlooked because of their, I think, quite harsh call, but they've actually got really pretty colours on them, that very yellow eye, almost rufusy, dark back, iridescent part of their wings as well, slightly obscured by that, and the whites and then those bright red legs. There you go. The impala have built up enough confidence now to put their heads down and have a bit of a drink as well. And interesting because it's just male impala here, might be squaring off with one another. Egyptian geese, Nomsa, were from the Nile Valley in Africa. A very distinctive water bird with those very conspicuous eye patches, that yellow eye that I spoke of. But it's also known as the Nile goose, which, yeah, like I said, known from the Nile Valley in Africa, but has been formally changed to the Egyptian goose. But an unmistakable call that echoes through from, like I was saying, every body or patch of water. If it's not that, it's a hardy-da, or this time of year, the red-chested cuckoo, or also known as the pitmayfro, because of its call that you may hear. See how sort of on edge these impala are with one another. They are also obviously vying for dominance in amongst themselves. So everyone's, quite wary of where every other one is drinking from. But this particular chap that's closest to us has rather impressive horns. They are massive and very symmetrical. They open out at the top. But as soon as they put their heads down, they're just keeping an eye out on each other to make sure they're not going to get jousted by an unsurprising impala. Lovely with that reflection of them on the water as well. The warthog also maybe building up confidence now, happier that there are things like impala drinking. They might too come down to the water, have a bit of a wallow, cake themselves in mud, try and cool off this morning. A couple of clouds lurking around, so it is relatively cooler than it was earlier when it was still exposed. But now there's almost like a truce being called with the impala. Everyone's stopped now to have a drink. Kamu, you're asking if there's a hierarchy within impala bachelor herds. Most definitely there is. And just watching the behavior of this lot here, everyone in it seems to be the one that's now third from the left, who, from what I've seen, rules the roost. Where he goes, everyone else sort of shifts away. Those three on the right just keep on walking away from him. Although now the one to the left of him is also pushing him away. So there will be a hierarchy in amongst them. It is safety in numbers, of course, for them as well. If there's a predator around, more eyes and ears the better, but there will most certainly be a hierarchy amongst them. And that's where, it all comes down to, it's like the final battle for them to one day, if they know they are the dominant one of that bachelor herd, they can then take on an impala that's the dominant male of a harem or a group of females. cannot believe the size of, he's now second from the left, closest to us, this impala here. Almost looks like an impala from East Africa. Those impala have huge horns in East Africa, which you might have seen with the guards up there. But this chap also huge. And I mean, it's not necessarily because he has the biggest horns that he's dominant. He might not have the confidence that one of the others has, but that set of horns certainly does put him in a good position when it comes to fighting with other males. Warthog are having a lap of water where the elephant stood yesterday to drink. In between them were a couple of 3-banded plovers also on the water's edge. And just watching now, that piglet looks like a female who maybe hasn't yet given birth to her piglet, but this time of year is when we start seeing quite a few warthog piglets out and about, and they too, like that little vervet monkey we saw, super cute. Actually most amusing watching these impala just go around and around this watering hole trying to find a patch. They also, like you saw with Pisani and that crocodile, are probably super cautious arriving at a spot like this because, you know, hidden below could be something like a crocodile, although there is not one in here. The other day was a hippo in the water, which might just push them away. Oh, speak of the devil, here's a hardy-dar ibis. But from one bird to another, we're going to head across to Lauren, who's with a bird of prey.
We have, oh my goodness, that's not Lauren, that's Henry. This is Lauren. We have Papa Wahlberg here. And this is the Wahlberg's monogamous pair that we normally find on Wahlberg's Nest Road. And there's 2 pairs. The other pair is the opposite, where the white morph, or the pale morph, sorry, is the mama. But in this pair, the dark morph is the mama. So this is the male. Isn't he just beautiful? And this is a pair that I don't think, now I could be wrong, and I'm always happy to be proven wrong, but I don't think they've been successful this year. If we can just go down the tree, Johan, if you just follow the trunk. It's quite far. There we go. So that's the normal nest that they use. That's where we had a chick last year. So it's a little bit lower down. It's in the fork. But I've not seen any activity. Of course, it's very high up, and it doesn't necessarily mean we're going to see the chick. But I haven't seen mom feed or dad deliver any food in the sort of month of November that I was here. So if we go back up to the male, that is their tree, if you like. Of course, other organisms are going to use it, but Wahlberg's nest in the same nest year after year after year. And sometimes it's damaged or it needs repaired, so they arrive here earlier. They meet up together, the male and female, and they start the hard work of repairing the nests, maintaining the nests, rebuilding, but it's the same nest. Normally they have a sort of number of nests in their territory that they'll use. So say that nest that I just showed you was maybe a bit too damaged or completely destroyed, they'll just use another nest on this tree or close by. So I really hoped I was wrong. Niels and I managed to see this pair mating. It's fantastic. On a branch, mating. It's an incredible thing to witness. But I just don't think they've been successful. And they have a history of not being successful, which is rather sad. What's happening, Mr. Wahlberg? Can we call you Mark? You look like a Mark. You're asking what do they eat? Wahlbergs are raptors, so they're birds of prey. And raptor comes from the word rapier in Latin, which means to seize. So how they kill is using their talons. Seize with talons and then shred and tear with beak. So to be honest, they'll try and eat anything that they can grab in their talons, really. Now, they're a smaller bird of prey. They're actually quite petite, especially with the likes of your steppe eagles and sort of martial eagles. They're very, very small, but they'll eat really anything that they can get in their talons, from small birds, doves, any sort of little summer birds, weavers, reptiles, snakes, lizards, even frogs, if they can get frogs in their talons. And they will snatch up insects, any insects that maybe land near them, especially dragonflies. That's quite a big insect that we were just looking at. So they're carnivores, they're birds of prey. Anything that they can grab in their talons, they will eat. The dark morphs are beautiful, but there's something about the pale morph that just makes them look so regal. They're just stunning. They come in different colour morphs. I don't think they have as many colour morphs as the tawny eagles, but they still have a range. I didn't catch that name, but I'm not sure if they're going to breed again this season. It's a summer sort of event. They come here to breed. And I've seen them mating, and I don't think they've been successful. I'm really not sure if they'll mate again. It's obviously still a bit to go. We're in the sort of heart of summer. There's still... Sorry, I'm going to sneeze. Bless me, sorry. I needed that. There's still lots of summer left, and I really don't know if they're going to mate or breed again. I think they can, and I'm really not sure. I haven't seen the female, but normally they stay in close proximity to one another. Not necessarily next to each other on the branch, but normally you can spot the female. So I'm really not sure in answer to your question. I hope so. There's a chick in the other nest, but this pair have not been successful. So I'm bumbling on into Buffelshoek, and you guys are bumbling across to Andrew.
Thanks, Lauren. What we find now here, we have left the Broad line heading east. So quite a few vehicles was very much interested in that same sighting. So we come this far close to Buffelshoek Dam. What we find here, it's a Inyala, animals called Inyala. All you can see there, way in the bush. And they're well capable of being in a thicket sometimes in this drainage line system. This is where you normally find them. Nyala, spelled with an N, Y-A-L-A. So looking at the most female here, with all this beautiful color, yellowish, with the band spots. Looks like they all have a baby. I think they will succeed in breeding this year. More likely have a gestation period of 7 months, 7.5 months. Give birth to one baby at a time. So they are different to bushbuck, where bushbuck they don't mainly be in herds, where these are same like impala pretty much. They find them in herds. And they are browser and grazer slightly, where they feed on leaves of these trees. And they get up into the hills for probably water to drink, and they always went back to the thicket. And they have very good sense of smell and hearing, sight. And even when they walk very carefully, that they don't really disturb a lot of bushes when they move. And that's why they still prefer to stay in a thicket for their only special diet, which is bushes and grasses. But that's where you find leopards would be also very much interested on being in a thicket, also trying to hunt these guys. And where they're in a group, they're able to spot or sense wherever it's around. And they do bark when you see a danger. So I'm going to be linking you back to a mate again. I'm going to move on.
Welcome back, everybody. Have a look at this mohawk on the warthog that's just arrived at the water. Definitely looked like he used Maybelline or some sort of volume strengthening shampoo this morning. Got some luscious blonde locks on the top of his head, being obscured now by a little herd of impala that's come down to drink. They are far more confident. They just went straight to the water to drink, unlike those males. But let's see if Johnny Bravo has a bit of a drink, not a drink, a wallow this morning. There was a warthog that came down, had a wallow and then left. But let's see if either of these two decide to do the same. Typically drink first and then go sort of waist high and rub their backs and roll over around in the mud. You can hear some zebra calling in the distance. There's the odd grunt coming from these impala as well. The Egyptian geese again. Hardy-dar has been quite kind. It's kept quite quiet. But I'm really hoping now that all these warthog are emerging out of the thicker areas around this watering hole, that one of them has a couple of piglets. It's amazing if from one noisy bird, those Egyptian geese. We're going to head across to Lauren, who's managed to find some southern ground hornbill. Let's see what they're up to.
My favourites, and I am sure this is a monogamous pair that we have been seeing a lot around here, always in the same area. And my last drive before leave, believe it or not, we watched, and I'm sure it's this pair, eat a scrub hare. Now, it appeared the scrub hare was already dead, but I'm also not entirely sure. These birds, as beautiful and as sort of... oh, they just look so elegant and wonderful. They're notorious for eating anything that comes their way. They're equipped with that huge beak. Every hornbill has a huge beak, but these have the largest. And they'll eat squirrels, scrub hares, large frogs, snakes, large snakes, birds. They'll smash open tortoise's shell with their beaks. They're incredible. Now, we didn't see these guys kill the scrub hare, but I looked back at my photos and it's a very fresh kill. I think they did. They somehow managed to catch it and just tore it to shreds with their beaks. They're incredible. They just hunt on the ground silently. They just walk. And whatever they come across, they throw it down the back of their throats. Now, Now, as many of you know, they are listed as vulnerable by the IUCN, that body, the international body that classifies endangered animals. And in South Africa, at least, they're classified as vulnerable. They're very, very slow to breed. It's a slow process. They're monogamous. They do breed cooperatively, but it's slow. And therefore, they're not sort of replenishing their numbers quick enough. And that's why they're listed as vulnerable. They're in decline. Now, they're normally found in groups. Different sexes, different ages. But this pair, if it's the same pair, it could also not be. We only ever find them together. Dr. Rocky Balboa, one of the greatest names. You're asking what is the red pigment? It's actually skin, so there's no coverage of feathers there. And it really helps to sort of identify between adult and juvenile. Juveniles are actually yellow in that fleshy part. So it's skin, and normally red colours within the animal kingdom come from carotenoids. So when it's a darker colour, normally it's from melanin, pigment, but I imagine this is from carotenoids in their skin, and it gives them that bright red appearance. So the males have a completely sort of red throat, if you like, from the chin stemming downwards towards their chest, whereas the females have a blue patch. So if you're able to get a good frontal view of them, you can tell the difference between male and female. And the youngsters are completely yellow. So every patch of red that you can see on these individuals will be yellow when it's an immature grand hornbill. And then it sort of reddens as they get older. And it'll be from carotenoids. That produces your oranges, your reds, and your yellows. And they're magnificent when they fly as well. Huge wingspan, heavy birds. So they're not the most graceful flyers, if you like. They absolutely can fly. But because they're heavy, they need to sort of land on branches that will support their weight. And it's very energetically costly to fly when you're that heavy. What a wonderful sighting. So we're still trying to make our way to Buffelshoek. Maybe one day we'll get there. But for now, we're going to send you back across to Andrew.
Good luck, Lauren, in Buffelshoek. We on Buffelshoek Dam also. We got a few hippos here resting in there. They'll probably return back to the water maybe this morning around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Because, of course, they spend a lot of time during the night outside of the water and eat grasses the whole entire night. And this is the dam that we usually see one of the young one as well. Maybe it's around them there, I'm not sure. I haven't seen anything since we got here. So they move far from the water at night, but you know, they will return back to the water sometime. Male doesn't return, or male will return if it happens that he dominates quite a few water holes around. More likely to switch to another water hole. The dominate, it's always about dominating females in a water hole. But you do come across those, a single bull, that don't really dominate, or they don't have a female, but they can dominate water hole. When they lost the fight, all they do, you have to move out of their females, and the new dominant male come in. Where sometimes they can't, kind of like very stranger behavior. You come across those bulls, especially when they're on land. They don't really tolerate any company, or they're really dangerous animals, hippos, whether female or male sometimes, especially when they're outside of the water. And they get hunted. Kim, you want to know the difference between a male and a female. So the male has got a very big head. Even you don't see the whole entire body, but sometimes you can tell by looking the capacity of the skull, and you can tell the difference from there. Usually male would be separate away from, if it's ever a female, there's a chance you see him far slightly different. So they all combine together and they all different age. So it looks like a female and they quite a few difference of a young one. But when they're outside of the water, also the body size for the male is bigger. And remember, to defend themselves, they have these a big tusk, as they call them, prominent teeth they got, which is kind of like tusk, and they use them for able to defend themselves, and only designed to kill. They don't use them to feed or anything. Especially when a fight between a male, two bulls. Whoever lost the fight get out there injured, very bad. Results of go die if it happened. They just go down there like that, and they can hold their breath for about sometimes 8 or 5 minutes. I'm gonna link you back to mate again.
Welcome back, everybody, to Pinder, where we've got now a lovely big herd of kudu joining us here at the watering hole. And a nyala. So lovely or actually really nice to compare nyalas and kudu. Beautiful reflections again from them. Very, very wary, those big round radar ears. Keeping a lookout, making sure the coast is clear of things like lions that we saw earlier. Beautiful male nyala. They love those chevrons. They almost look like NFL football players just below their eyes, as it also just makes sure that there's nothing lurking beneath the surface of the water. But they just gain confidence from each other and make sure that, because one of the other species is drinking, that it's okay for them to do the same thing, and all slowly but surely come down to drink. A couple more woolly neck storks pulling into the spot now as well. On a hot day like today, now that it's starting to, or that it has warmed up, there's hot air rising. A lot of here in the mountainous areas of this reserve, you often see things like vultures and birds of prey circling up above, just catching those thermals. Not uncommon to arrive at this watering hole to be greeted by a whole lot of white-backed vultures who have also maybe had a lap of water and a bit of a dust bath. Beautiful family portrait there of those kudu and the nyala. Nice to see all three antelope species here next to each other having a drink of water. Hey, kudu. We saw quite a large male kudu, or kudu bull, on the wall just behind the monkeys earlier, but not part of this herd of kudu. They came from directly behind where they are now, almost out of nowhere. And to sit here on a hot day like today, I think would be super productive, probably throughout the day. Julia, you commenting on how well they get along? Absolutely. It's like something out of the Lion King, with everyone all in sweet harmony here, drinking at the water. The impala, I think they've probably been the most nervous of the lot here, trying to reshuffle. They've chosen probably the worst spot to drink from, because there's a bit of a drop to the water level, and you see their front legs sort of doing a bit of a shuffle. Nyala's had its full with its long furry coat, probably warms up a little bit more than the impala and kudu, so probably going to disappear into thicker vegetation down below, closer to the dried up watering hole. It's typical vegetation. The kudu might venture off back to the right, up into the mountainous areas, which is their favoured habitat. And then the impala will probably just continue back down to the dried up watering hole, where they too might have a little bit of a feed and then rest during the heat of the day, or find a lovely little shady patch. But spectacular to see all three of them at the same place. Amazing, that wind has just about completely died now, which is not a good thing for us. Beverly commenting on the Nyala, who's now disappearing from us. Very majestic Nyala bull. Not sure if you've ever seen them do that lateral display that they call it, where that white hair in the back, they'll raise that and they walk really, really slowly past one another, unlike those impala that we saw, who probably will just go straight into the locking of the horns. Those Nyalas will do that lateral display, so it's almost like a runway for Nyala, when they walk slowly past one another, size one another up, and see who the bigger and the prettier of the two is, and then walk away. They can lock horns, which every so often can end fatally for one of them, but they prefer to just do a little bit of a display of their prettiness and then walk away. But a very majestic Nyala bull. That nice to see him actually out in the open here drinking. Really hoping that this morning we'd have some rhino perhaps joining us, but they too, I think it's probably just too hot for them. They've maybe found a patch of water or a bit of a wallow that's still got some water in, some red-billed oxpeckers that have just landed on that kudu now drinking. And they too, it's quite interesting. You'll see they come to them, they land on them close to the water, then themselves land next to them, have a lap of water, and then fly away again. But such a productive little watering hole, this, with the kudus, the birds, warthogs now coming back, Egyptian geese who haven't kept quiet, haven't given us a break at all, actually. Like some lesser striped swallows coming down for a drink as well. They don't stop. Have a look at how they, just as they fly, they'll have a drink of water. It's amazing to watch. Bernie, Egyptian geese are really distinctive looking. I think if you spend enough time with them, just that noise might be enough to shy away from their prettiness, but they are super pretty. And as they walk now, you see that iridescent sheen on their wings, that bright green sheen on their wings. But that constant call of theirs is literally something that you hear everywhere in South Africa. And it can take away from their prettiness, but they are really pretty looking birds, those, for sure. And they don't stop. Benny, they really don't stop. Even at swimming pools, funny enough, you'll find them dotted all over the place. Last kudu cow having her little thirst quench, and she too will probably head up and off into the mountains with the rest of them. You can also, in amongst the calls of the geese, hear those red-billed oxpeckers on the back of that kudu. It's quite a harsh, sort of scratchy call that they have, but they can often lead us to things like herds of buffalo, white and black rhino. They can be quite a useful aid out here in the bush to alert us. But we are probably going to carry on now, see what else we can find. I'm going to hand you over to one of our other guides who has managed to find some cheetah. Kudu now walking away. Egyptian geese have kept quite a bit of a break from their noisiness. Everything now seems to be disappearing into the woodlands, and I think we might do the same. Might carry on driving and see if there's maybe not something tucked away in a shady patch, or another little patch of water that has a little bit of shade, because that's an ideal spot to look for something like a rhino that's in a walla. But we're going to head off to TJ, who's managed to find cheetah.
And the boys are back in town. But we're only seeing one of the two brothers, but we did see the other one as we came up and over the dune. He's lying flat just behind this one, so this one definitely makes better visuals for you. It's still quite windy. They were sitting up when we got here, and he's just been scanning around. It's such a beautiful vantage point that they have. So on top of the dune, he's just looking around. The wind is blowing in his favor in the direction that he's looking in, so he could potentially have smelt something. I can't see anything around, but you never know. Their senses are so much more superior than ours. But isn't he just beautiful? Don't forget to send your comments and questions to Wild Earth, #Wild Earth, and then at FC in front if you want to ask us a question. We're probably going to spend the rest of the morning with these guys, see what they get up to. Probably most likely going to be sleeping, as cats do. But the fact that he's alert, you never ever know. There's always a chance of a hunt. This is actually one of their favorite spots. I can't count how many times I've seen them up here. They have a set route. These two gents have a massive territory that they actually cover. I don't even want to know how many kilometers they walk, but I mean, 2 nights ago when we had them, they were quite full. They've walked about 4-5 k's that way, then around the dunes. Yeah, about sort of a line as the crow flies from where they were, probably 8 or 10 k's from the other day, or should I say properly kilometers. We just sort of refer to k's as sort of a slang shortened version. But yeah, they do move a lot, these chaps. They'll go on their daily patrol. As soon as we have some rain, they go scent marking. Storybooks is asking, what is the strangest thing I've seen them eat? Now, I really have to think about that. I haven't seen them eat a bat-eared fox, but I've seen them definitely rough up a bat-eared fox that it was all teeth and fur and a complaining bat-eared fox. And I don't think that they intended on, they didn't hurt the bat-eared fox. They eventually just left him alone. But I don't think the intention there was to eat it. So that's probably the strangest thing that I've had with cheetah. But as far as eating goes, probably only normal things. You know, sometimes you see the cats eating grass, and that's to help aid the passage of digestion. But I'm just trying to think, nothing unusual. I've seen them eating warthog and ostrich, zebra, springbuck, hartebeest. I think sometimes that's actually quite impressive. It's just the sheer size of what they can take. These two gentlemen can easily take down an adult Gemsbok bull. And, well, I say easily, and that's probably not fair on their behalf, because it's not actually easy to take down a Gemsbok, but they've just got enough skills that they have managed to do that. Just sitting beautifully there in the perfect arch of the terminalias, the silver terminalias, which, as we spoke about the other day, are on the top of the dunes. We're going to send you to an update on the lion with a hippo carcass, because he's just about to go to sleep, but we'll stay here to see if there are any more updates.
We're in the land of the most awful smell, and this young male, there's now a young male, is trying to move the hippo carcass all by himself. Now, I don't immediately recognize this young male, but it must be one of the Talamati sub-adults. It has to be. Because over to the left, Johan, we've got Darkmane. He's still here. Don't worry, Darkmane is not going anywhere. You can see he's just resting. There's someone else guarding the carcass, someone that he trusts, which is why I think it's a Talamati young male, and he knows that he can just rest for a while. He probably wants to get away from that pong. So there's now 2 lions on the carcass and a quintillion vultures. Now that I've learned that word, I'm not going to stop using that word. The woodland kingfishers are going crazy in the background. It's mostly white-backed. At any carcass, they're the most numerous. They're the ones that create the feeding frenzy. They're very vocal, they're noisy. And just over to the left, we have 1 hooded that I can see so far. 1 lone hooded vulture. I'm sure there's more, though, somewhere. There's so many vultures. And once again, I'm going to repeat myself. I'm just surprised there's not a hyena in sight. At any large carcass like that, we've had hippo carcasses before, or even buffalo. Normally there's a hyena or 2 just on the periphery, lying in wait. Now, it was called in that there was a new young male at this carcass and that he was behaving very skittishly. And he is. I don't know if it's because the rest of the pride are not here. But when we just drove up, and we parked quite far away this time, I learned my lesson yesterday. He got up to run away. If Darkmane was not here, I think 2 or 3 hyenas could easily chase this lion off the carcass and claim it. Annalise, I don't know the full story to the hippo, but I believe it died itself, natural causes, in the water. Maybe I think it's a sub-adult male, and I wonder maybe there was a fight with the older male and there was a serious injury that maybe led to infection or internal bleeding. And as far as I know, as far as the story goes, Darkmane actually pulled the hippo out the water himself. So the hippo obviously drifted to the shoreline, if you like, the embankment, and Darkmane pulled him up. So Mr. Limpy Lou over there, who appears to let all the ladies do the work, he's got some power behind him. So the lions didn't kill the hippo, in answer to your question. But a hippo carcass can last for days and days. It's a huge animal. And with the vultures, different species rely on different senses. You'll always have a primary sense. Now, it's not necessarily your eyes or your ears, of course. Animals in the animal kingdom have different senses. Some rely on vibrations, some rely on scent, chemical cues. But with vultures, because they're highly visual animals, I think they follow the lions. Lions kill the biggest carcasses. Lions are responsible for buffalo carcasses, hippo, wildebeest, zebra, the larger animals, giraffe. And that's when the vultures know they can get. If it's just a small wildebeest calf, the vultures are probably not going to get very much. I think they follow the lion prides from the air. They don't necessarily need to be directly above them, but they stay in close proximity. I think most of the vultures always know where the lions are, and they respond to other behavior. So if they see 2 or 3 vultures swooping down, other vultures will know, something's going on, let's go and see. Always you will find incredible numbers.
I'm leaving these calamari in Ghana.
Jay, you're asking how do vultures select their leader? I don't believe there is a leader. There's no leader. There's no pack or clan or pride or gang. They're all just here for themselves. But with whitebacks, you just find them in such great numbers. There's definitely no leader. It's sort of sheep behavior, follow one another. And as I just mentioned, when one swoops down, maybe they've spotted something, the others will all just swoop down. If one takes flight here because it's seen a threat, most likely they will all take flight, but they don't actually know why they're flying. Sheep-like behavior, if that makes sense, but there's no leader. There's no social structure to vultures. You look very happy with yourself, young boy. It's a big meal you've got. Now, as you know, Andrew had the Talamatis earlier. I'm just curious as to why the Talamatis are not here. This is so much food for the whole pride. Look at the little hooded vulture, Johan, slowly walking. This is what they do. The lions moved off. The whitebacks won't do it, but the hooded, look, is going to try and think, I'm invisible. I've got my hood up. No one can see me. Harry Potter style, I'm pretty sure this is an invisible cloak. I'm going to keep walking. It's going to walk right to the carcass. Oh, he's almost there. So I'm going to sit and see if this vulture manages to get a bite. And we're going to send you guys across to Deirdre and the cheetah. Oh, apparently you're not going to Deirdre. Apparently you're still with me. I'm sitting waiting. He's going. The lion's watching. Oh. Go. The lion's up. I knew that was going to happen. Sorry, hooded vulture, you tried. They're brave, though. You've got to love a trier. But that young male is thinking, no one is getting any of this. And for some reason, it's only ever the hooded vultures that try, and never see whitebacks behave like this. Oh, that was entertaining. So we're going to sit here because thankfully the wind is blowing in the opposite direction and our nostrils are surviving. But we're going to send you guys across to Andrew and the Lowveld's smallest carnivore.
Good luck, Lauren. So we now find a dwarf mongoose. They're active out now already. They are diurnal animals. They only forage during the day. At night, they will be sleeping in one of these termite mound hole. See them running around like this, and it means that they all realize that it's already sunlight, and for them to come out to able to forage. They would hunt around for an insect. It's possible that they will sometimes kill snake as well. Beetles, centipedes, and that's what they would eat. And it's just two of them. It means that could be more around here. And there are dwarf mongoose. Grooming each other. When they parasite, fleas, pretty much ticks. There's a system here where alpha male and alpha female to breed, and the rest are just a helper, where they help all members, the youngest, stay with them if they weren't able to move in the den, while the others go forage, hunt for food, return back to the very same mound, and then take a turns. Those are where standing by, then is the only time they will get to feed when those were out to return back. And they're well alert sometimes, but they spend a lot of time in these tall grasses, calm, vulnerable to any bird of prey, eagles. See leopards sometimes would hunt them. And I mainly have one which is sitting right on a open patch, possibly a mound on top, just to scan around, possible in an approach, and they will give alarm call to the rest of the member to go hide immediately. Shelly, you're right, they're so cute animals. Are those dwarf mongoose? I mentioned them yesterday when we were watching these elephants, that they actually have so much to do. They're always moving around, they're always doing something. Same to monkeys or this baboon as well. So you won't get tired of watching these animals all day. See, it's looking up in the air. It's giving a little call. I'm not sure what it's seeing up there. This one is probably the guard, which is watching out, where the rest are scattered all over in this bush. So once they receive a call as a warning, they don't have to run back to that position of this one. Wherever they are, they're just going to hide. If they're in the open, they're going to run into the cover for their own safe. Yeah, little cute animals like these only weigh 300 grams, which is a small creature. And the gestation period is about 63 days. And they give birth to about 2 to 4 youngest, depend. And they are territorial, so the whole colony of one group individual will move together that way. And then that's how they forage. they sleep. If they keep the baby in the same mound, they probably won't move far. They will move and then they will come back. And then if they don't actually raising any babies, they will more likely to switch mound every now and then, sleep in different mound. This is how they would able to manage their operational scent marking and making sure it's all controlled. And they have a good relationship with the hornbills, which is the hornbill. The relationship is this way where the hornbill will look out for a safety. So a bird will spend time with this animal. So the benefit for the bird is to receive insect which disturb by this animal. And while the bird is sitting on the branches on top of the tree watching for any movement, at the same time would watch up in the air for a possible bird of flight, which is most a raptor. And if it's ever that bird spot one of those, would give alarm call for these mongoose to go hide. And it happens if that bird know exactly which mound they have slept last night. They will get around there as a maybe 2-3 bird at the same time, hornbills, and they will call out for this creature to come out. This is now sunrise, everyone get up. Because sometimes they can delay to come out until they don't actually know whether it's a sunrise or not, until someone sneak their nostrils out and just to see what is like outside. But it also, for them to come out, they don't just come out. They gotta make sure it's safe, nobody waiting for them. And once it's safe, they're all just gonna shoot out. But they're more likely to warm up first. If it's a beautiful sunrise, they're all just gonna warm up, and before they move on. And they have a kind of a sound they make. This is how they communicate. Not only the warning sound they make, but they can communicate amongst the group. So they scrape the ground for possibly insects we talk about. It's anything from crickets. Usually if they ever enter somebody's garden, they will deal with anything that damage the garden, but then they will damage your garden as well. All you see all soil has been disturbed, and they're all gonna do a lot of repair there, but then you won't worry anymore about any crickets eating your grasses. So I'm gonna leave them, gonna move you to Cheetah with DJ.
So we've just changed position, and now we've got a much better view of the two boys. So the one, he's still smelling on the wind, having a look around, seeing what's out there. The other brother that's lying down he actually looks quite miserable. He's like, he doesn't want to be in the wind. Yeah, he's not as alert. He definitely wants to be snoozing now. So I suppose for them they don't have to worry too much about other predators. They've obviously got to be alert about lion and things like that, but they can generally rest easy at this point in time of the day, because a lot of the other predators are also lying down. It's starting to get a little bit warmer, but always on alert for the opportunity to potentially find some food. So nice close-up view of all those beautiful, beautiful spots, and you can actually see how long and streamlined their body actually is, and possibly a nice sort of, we're close enough, we can potentially see how thick their tail is. That's sort of the rudder or their steering mechanism that they'd use when they're hunting at speed. Oh no, we're going from alert to dropping our head to potentially snoozing. Not wide awake anymore, that's for sure. So they're unlikely to move. Well, other than that, that's a movement, I suppose. But what I mean by move is move a long distance from this position until the afternoon, until it starts getting a little bit cooler, possibly a little bit darker, and then there's the possibility of a hunt. Darby, can you get on the feet there? He's that front one. You can actually see the underside of the foot. It's a little bit difficult. Okay, behind the grass. Sometimes you can actually see how hard the underside of their pads are. Often people would assume that they would feel like your pet at home, like a dog or a cat at home, but they actually will be really, really hard. The cheetah's, the base, the main pad is actually relatively hard compared to what your cat and your dog at home would have. I just found this guy, but he's
put him right in front of the camera.
So I literally just found this little guy. Oh, closer. Okay, he's just beautiful. So I've just temporarily stalled him so that you can actually see how gorgeous metallic green he is. This is This is a metallic green dung beetle. He's gonna probably look how beautiful that is. Look at those colors. So, I picked him up off the soil. I'm going to just put him back down on the ground. And I believe there was a question coming. FC, you can send that question. Oh, he's just fast asleep. So they're just pretty much snoozing now in the shade. They actually get quite a nice breeze here on top of this dune under these terminalias. So Dundee's asking the question, is it true that the wind messes with the cheetah's senses? Absolutely, because it's quite strong coming from one direction, which would help them in one way, in that if there's prey that is upwind of them, they will then smell that prey, and it might help them actually locate food. But from a point of view from them, or even prey items, if the wind is very, very strong, it takes away from some of their other senses. There's so many other noises going on around them that it probably affects their hearing, so they don't necessarily hear as well. When the scent is dominantly coming from one direction, if there was potential threat like a lion or a hyena or something for them, and it comes from downwind of them, then the wind can affect them in that way, in that they don't know or they can't smell a threat coming. Just thinking about how comfortable the sand must be. I mean, lying down on the sand is actually quite comfortable. It's like a nice little mattress. So I'm going to send you across, while these guys are having a snooze, we're going to send you across to Lauren with her lions.
I complained a lot about the wind yesterday. I love to complain about the weather. I'm from Scotland, it's what we do. But the wind is jolly good today. It's working in our favour. I can assure you the odour coming off this carcass is, I cannot describe it. There's no words. Hippo carcasses are one of the smelliest, most disgusting things, and we're staying quite far away from it for two reasons. Selfish, we probably couldn't handle the smell, and second, it's actually moving. The number of maggots crawling inside this carcass is something else that I don't want to put you all through. So long distance visuals is perfect for this moment. Now you'll find some organisms, especially the aardwolf. We were talking about the aardwolf yesterday. It was part of the hyena family, one of 4 that makes up the Hyenidae. And they just eat termites and ants, but a delicious treat for them is maggots. So sometimes you will see an aardwolf at a carcass, and because they're part of the Hyenidae family, it was sort of long thought that they were scavengers and they eat carrion. But they don't. They're not there to eat the meat of the carcass, and they won't eat the meat of the carcass. It's very, very rare. They're actually there to just lap up the maggot cuisine. Their diet is solely ants and termites, and if they can find maggots, then that's a treat. A little well-deserved treat for being an aardwolf. So you'll find a lot of different organisms once the lions leave will go for the maggots, not actually the hippo flesh itself. If the lions leave any flesh, I think they're going to be here for days. It's such a surreal sight to just watch, to just sit at this dam. I don't know if I mentioned this already, but this is in Bayala Dam in Buffelshoek. And to watch everything that is going on around. The trees are filled with vultures. Almost every tree has at least one vulture in it. Kizzy, you're asking about carcasses exploding, and I believe that's due to gas that builds up inside the carcass. They're not just spontaneously combusting. And I've never seen or heard that happening from a hippo, but I'm sure if any of you have any examples of that happening, you will share with me. But normally when that happens with whale carcasses, I believe it's happened to a zebra, so it's definitely possible. And it's just from all sorts of mixture of gases in the stomach that are, of course, expanding, and it causes the carcass to rupture and essentially explode. Really not a pleasant thing to think about in any way, shape, or form. But I've never seen it happen to a hippo, but I would imagine it's absolutely possible. It does happen with other carcasses. Oh, the vultures are taking flight in front of us. Go, Johan, go, go. Yeah. Bird challenge. They're all taking flight. They're all riding the thermals. One by one, see sheep behavior. They're just all following one another. I don't think they'll go too far, but they're riding the thermals. Would you look at that? Sky filled with vultures. Now, what I mean by riding the thermals is because just like the ground hornbills, the vultures are very, very heavy birds, and it takes a lot for them to fly. If they were just to solely use flappage, as I like to call it, relying on their wings, which are very, very long, to fly, that's really going to use up a lot of energy. It's going to be a lot of work. It's not going to be easy whatsoever. Whereas if they ride the thermals, they're actually using them to sort of facilitate a really low energy flight mode. So they're using basically pockets of warm air that's rising. Warm air rises, cold air sinks. It's a sort of circulation of air. And it's happening when there's enough heat from the sun. And the sun's slowly starting to break through. We've got blue sky, so it must be warming pockets of air which are rising. And it provides enormous lift. So for a heavy bird like a vulture wanting to fly, by riding the thermals, They're preventing this sort of unnecessary excessive flappage of wings. And they are actually said to save 3 times the amount of energy by doing this. So they can fly normally using the old flappage, but it's 3 times more energetically expensive. Whereas if they ride the thermals, they're saving 3 times the amount of energy used. They also, of course, gain height advantage by riding the thermals. It gets them high, up in the air, and they can use their keen eyesight to look for food, survey the land. And they're jumping from one thermal to another. So they're riding lots of different thermals. They're sort of hopping from pocket to pocket in order to stay high in the sky. Now, they can soar at distances of about 150 kilometers up. So they can ride thermals very high in the air. But they're heavy. And so the thermals are assisting them with that. Yeah, amazing. Nicely done, Joanne. That was a little hoodie that just landed there. And I say little because they are quite smaller than the white-backed. Bernie, we got asked this question yesterday. Most likely not. The predators out here are so used to eating putrid flesh and rotten carcasses and all things disgusting that their immune system and digestive system are prepared for it. So when they're quite young, they're introduced to meat. And that's to get them ready so their stomachs can start producing the right enzymes, their immunity can build up, and they're ready for eating the most, well, awful carcasses, shall we say. They also have a very low stomach acid, and what I mean by low is low on that pH scale, anywhere between pH 1 and 2, so it's very, very acidic. So acidic that it just blasts anything that comes into the stomach and prevents any nasty pathogens or bacteria from leaving the stomach and going into the sort of gut, the intestines, and that's when it'll get absorbed into the bloodstream. Very, very strong immunity. Humans, we would not that I would ever want to, but we would not be able to take a bite out of this carcass. Very unpleasant. So we're going to sit here just a little bit longer, but we're going to send you all the way to Swallow with those sleepy cheetah.
That is pretty much a sleepy cheetah. He's catnapping. They can't keep their heads up. They try so hard. He sort of lifts his head, looks around, and then you can see it's just so heavy. Oh, good stretch. Oh, no, back down again. And then you can go over to Brother's also passed out, fast asleep. Oh, we've got a bit of movement. So that lying flat like that, but holding their head and their neck up is often how you'll find them. You're just looking for the shadow of what looks like a teddy bear's head, those nice little rounded ears, and then that dome shape. That's normally how you spot cheetah from a distance. He's blinking his eyes. Oh, got some time for grooming. That's not too bad. Darby, just go move that grass there, you see? It's not... might have been a thorn. Darby says no. No, thanks. He'll just stay where he is. Just a good sort of look around, glance around. Maybe a bit of a yawn. And down the head goes again. Oh. 'Cause, 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 so close we could almost touch them. Just scanning around, see what he can see. I keep looking with the binoculars and I'm not seeing anything, so nothing of interest for them. So from here we know that they normally head further north. And then they head out into the dunes, see what they can find. But yeah, definitely not going to be hunting right now. Maybe later today. They look like they could eat, but if they didn't eat today, it wouldn't be too bad. It's getting time for some grooming. On the cat's tongue, they've got almost like these little sharp, sort of backward barbs on their tongue that help with the grooming. Oh, no, that's it. He's definitely snoozing. Very, very nice. You sure you don't want to go tickle him behind his ear there, Darby?
I'm alright.
You're alright. He's just having a nice snooze. Now you can actually see his paw quite nicely. We're going to send you across to Matt, who's got, sounds like some rhinos.
Welcome back, everybody, to Pinda, where we have come across two white rhino, a mom and her relatively older calf, out here in the open, which is not the sort of spot you'd expect to find them on such a hot morning. You can see those really big ears tuning into what I'm saying about them. Those very, very wet nostrils as well. With a bit of a breeze, they would have kicked up quite a bit of dust, and that's just to clear their nostrils so they can smell if there are predators around, like lions, leopards, or the one is rather large, and I think she's actually currently pregnant with another calf, which is not uncommon to see as they trundle off. There's a watering hole a little bit further back, which I think they're going to venture off into, and like those warthog we saw earlier, have a bit of a wallow and cake themselves in mud now for the heat of the day. Those radar-like ears. There's another vehicle driving past us now, also just listening into them. I might just have to reshuffle for you now. You're out there, Owen. Go there for now. This vehicle, I think, is going to stop them from crossing the road when they want to. But we'll leave these two rhino to their devices. We're going to head across to Andrew with his giraffe.
Thank you very much. So we come to a different position now. We've got a bull giraffe, which is just stationary in the middle of the clearing, with a few impala around here, running around in and out of this clearing here. So impala plain with impalas in there. All you hear is just a little bit of a sound that's going on in the other side. Just going to try and frame them there. There they are. Just that all looks like it's actually a mounted group of impalas there with their babies as well. And this is what makes this now giraffe freeze. Look at them, because they're doing pronking, kind of like jumping up. And they're probably trying to make a sound, but it's not a serious communication net. Probably some members still in the wood. They see the males coming out from their left. Maybe that's why they're running around. It's so cool whenever they're not too sure what's going on in the thick, they come out to the open. And then for them to provide their own life safe, it's all about trust. But them mixing up with the giraffe, it's a possible chance that They even trust so much that giraffe can see better. They have a very long neck. But for the benefit from giraffe as well in impalas is that impala can make sound when they see a danger, where giraffe, they're mainly just silent when they even see something dangerous. So you can see those can't stop running around here, and looks like they all have, well, it's still cloudy. Everybody still have an energy of doing something here. See these male chasing after them. That's probably the male that's actually spooking them around here. I thought all the writing's already end, but maybe not. So just want to take this time to thank everybody, all the viewers of the World Earth. It's been so awesome to have you all on the show. And then this is going to be the time. That's how we're going to be ending the show. But this afternoon is going to be very much the same times. If you can stick with us until we meet again this afternoon to see what is going on. And that's all. Goodbye from us. Thank you.